Welcome everybody to the Anti-Stall Racing IMSA Series finale for Season 7 at Daytona. I'm joined today by Kirby. How are you doing, Kirby?
I'm doing well. In the immortal words of Toshihiro Nagoshi, excuse me, do 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 Daytona. That's my intro. That's all I've got. I'm sorry. That intro is wrong because we're here for a special event for the Anti-Stall Racing League. There we go.
Still got the wrong commentators on that. We'll sort that out.
Tell, I could be ill for about 15 seconds because this is a special race. 90 minutes of Daytona International Speedway, the high banks that bring you the Daytona 24 and the Daytona 500, which unfortunately is not a 500-hour race of Daytona. We're here for 90 minutes. 11 GT3s with a GT Pro category still, GT3 category still to be decided, and the GTPs with a dogfight for their championship as well. It's going to be an exciting race tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We've got a slightly wet qualifying here and scheduled to have a wet start to the race, and then it will dry out gradually as we go on. I think there's about 10 minutes of rain at the start of the race, and we'll then see it dry out progressively as the race goes on. So that's going to be great to watch, especially with the title on the line. Like you said, that GTP title fight is really close. GT3 AM was closed last race out. We missed that one until the points were calculated by race control. So that goes to Dave Van Heck. So congratulations to our GT3 AM champion. He's just here fighting for fun today. So we're going to see some great battles in GT3. And with not much on the line, although pretty much every position apart from first place is still up for grabs. So still plenty of competition there. GT3 Pro, we've got a title fight between the top three, which is Matteo Ubertali currently in third, Daniel Morphy currently in second, and Oriol Falk, your current championship leader, who we're following along here, is still in that title fight. And then out front, we've got a fight between Eloy Caballero and a man whose name escapes me momentarily. Albert Preem. Albert Preem.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah. So title fight between Albert Preem and Eloy Caballero. We've got some stats for you. Sorry, there are a lot of names on the board at the moment. Got some stats from race control that have been thrown to us. So if Albert doesn't win the race, Eloy will win the title. Albert needs to win the race and have Eloy finish off the podium, essentially, to win the title, which seems unlikely given the season that those two have had to be off the podium, but anything can happen at Daytona, especially in the rain. So we're going to see a lot of great racing in there, and then GT3 Pro is really, really open at the front. Mattia hasn't had a major drop round, really, that he's taken so far, whereas Falk and Morphy have both taken a drop round of 0 points, so everything they score today will matter. Let's take a quick look at those championship in. Being told there's no audio on stream. Is that audio of anything or just audio of iRacing?
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of commentary and hope that am I audible? Who knows? I'm just going to keep going. It might have been the graphic that caused it.
Apologies, yeah, momentarily lost the audio during that graphic. So as you saw, about 43 points. That's Daniel Morphy will need to outscore Matteo. Will need to outscore Oriol Falk by if he wants to win the title. But qualifying points as well will contribute to that. And then Matteo Ubertali about 20 points further back, but he's not taken a drop round yet, so that will affect the order as it moment. And as it stands right now, Oriol Falk P3, Daniel Morphy P5, Matteo Batali P6, with Roman Dubert and Ignis showing some serious pace today. And like we said, Ignis can't win the title, but I believe he can beat anyone other than Oriel, so he could, in theory, still finish P2 in the title overall. So plenty to play for, and don't expect those guys that aren't in the title fight to back out of any racing today.
Yeah, this is the thing. You show up to a racetrack, you're here to race. You're not here to just fill slots. You want to take positions off people, even if there's not a championship on the line. So, like, even the AM drivers, their season is technically over. I'm sure there's still some minor positions to scrap for, but, like, Dave Van Eck isn't just going to roll over for every pro driver around him. He's going to go out there and race, and that's what we expect. So, obviously, you want to be qualifying in front, so you don't have to deal with the likes of Dave Van Eck, as I believe that's Falk going for a little bit of a slider there. This track's still not quite dry. The rain has been gone for a while, but these drivers still struggling to get cars turned around, and a little bit of miscommunication as to what's going on the racetrack there.
We're seeing a lot of yellow sectors at the moment. I think a lot of people are just having a cool-down lap. I know we spoke to a couple of drivers in the build-up to this week's event, and in practice they were saying the wets were overheating and the dries were not getting anywhere near hot enough once they got into any sort of crossover region. And it's not super wet out on track at the moment, not actively raining, so I do wonder if some people are just trying to manage that tyre temperature a little bit.
Yeah, this is very sketchy conditions. It's going to rain at the start of the race, I believe, based on when that the schedule forecast is scheduled. There we go. And then it's going to be dry. So the track is going to be drying, but it's iRacing, so it takes forever to actually dry out. And then you've got a case where your track is going to be moist, and you have to haul a car around it on potentially dry tyres. And Daytona's not known for being a slow track, you know? So it is going to be very dangerous if you're the first person to put on slicks and you come in a lap early.
Yeah.
As we go through qualifying, though, Romain Dubert currently has P1, Visserensky and Morphy chasing behind. All drivers still fairly stacked up close to each other. Just over a second spreads the field right now. It's still pretty tight overall.
Yeah, and those of you that are joining us next season and aren't racing today, we've currently sold out 54 of the 60 seats, so still some to grab. So make sure to let your friends know to fill those final few slots. We're expecting a full grid for the opening event and the rest of the season next season. So that's going to be really great. Really looking forward to that out there. Senna Bockhoven on his previous laps at a purple final sector to move himself up to P7. He's gone back to the pit lane to have another go. Adam Jarvis currently out there running. And we talked about people that aren't necessarily contending for the top spots still going out to race. Big point in the championship fight here is that Adam Jarvis, although he's not super rapid at the moment, is Oriel's teammate, of course, and there are a couple of other teammates dotted about. So that could have a big implication if they choose to sacrifice their own race to help their teammate, maybe go out and be a bit of a tyre mule, run the dry maybe before it's quite right so they can nail the crossover for their teammate. And in GTP, we'll talk about that a little bit more as well, but both those drivers with a lot of teammates in the series.
Obviously, as well, it's Daytona. You can definitely abuse the draft on this track. The monster banking straights. You can get a lot going there if you have your teammate. Other situations as well where you can give a little bump to your teammate as well if you know how to line it up properly. You can definitely get in someone else's whale. I expect we don't see as much of that in this series. But yeah, definitely a lot you can do if you've got friends in this session.
Yeah, definitely. We have in the past seen a little bit of bump drafting with the GT3s around here, although I'm not sure how the rain will impact that. We might see people a little bit more timid and maybe try and avoid bump drafting where possible. Ignis Vincerevsky currently sits on provisional pole position. He's 3 tenths ahead of... Roman Dubert sits on provisional pole position with the best lap of a 52.349, closely followed, well, not that closely given what we've seen so far this season, but only 3 attempts to Ignis, slightly behind him around what is a 1 minute 52 lap, so quite a small barrier. Oliver Falk goes up to P2 though with a 1:52.5. puts himself quite a big chunk, about over a tenth and a half ahead of Daniel Morphy and Matteo Batali, who currently line up in P4 and P5.
So session is currently timing out. This is a big lap of Daytona, so you need the best part of 2 minutes to get around it. You want to be leaving the pit lane in the next minute if you want to get that last lap in. It looks like all the drivers currently out at the pits as it stands. As the Snowcoven takes a toe as soon as I say that. But as long as you get out of the pit lane now, you should be able to get around the track in time to take your flying lap. We'll see where everyone comes out if you can get a second one in. Also, don't know what the tyres are going to be doing in terms of performance. Usually the second laps end up being faster in the GT3s because you get all heat in the tyres. I don't know if you're going to want particularly hot tyres in the wets. Still everyone on the wet tyre. I think Lemeray went out on the slicks momentarily and realised very quickly that was a poor decision, so has gone back to the wets.
Yeah, Dave Van Eck will be pretty pleased that he sealed up the championship in the previous round, because he currently sits last of the AM drivers that are set at lap time. Big shout out to Michael Kellenberger as well, current fastest AM, sits in P6 overall, but he was really rapid in practice and was actually on those track conditions, which are a little bit more wet than these, quicker than most of the other drivers. Matteo Batali goes up to P2 to put himself ahead of championship rival Oriol Falk. I believe Race Control are going to try and give us some live championship standing updates during the race where possible. But we'll obviously see. That's all dependent on drop rounds and stuff as well, which does make the maths a little bit more difficult. Daniel Morphy currently P4 as well, so those three all nicely packed up now as it stands, as Oriol Falk improves their lap time to go a little bit quicker. Now only 1.5 tenths off pole position.
Yeah, this is a wet track, but it's always going to be drying if there's no rain, so you want to get this out as late as possible. And I think the 43 of Matteo Lemeray is going to have the best track conditions available. They've just gone through the line now. Obviously, the drier it gets, the more grip you've got, the more you can put your foot down through the corners, and especially on the exits of turn 11 and turn 7, where you get onto the banking. That's where you want all the speed. That's where you can make up most of your lap time. So expect a lot of green sectors coming in. As I say, that a lot of yellow on the timing tower. Vintorevski's not looking like they're going to improve. Villarejo definitely not going to improve, and Dubert in a similar situation. They should be able to get through in time to take one more lap. We'll see what happens though.
I think we're seeing people find grip in a lot of different places at the moment. A couple of GTPs have just got in their car as well, ready to go out as soon as possible. No improvement for Ignis there. Green sectors for a couple of guys in the first sector now who are taking that area. Matteo Batali is yellow with a tiny little bit of green at the end of the lap. Let's see what they're able to do. Be hoping to move up onto pole position. Only a tenth behind at the moment. Easily find a 10th in the rain, but you can easily lose a lot more than that as well. It's a purple final sector, but not an improvement on his lap time.
I think the checkered flag came out just as he crossed the line there. That's unfortunate. Zubatali stuck in second place. See what the rest of the drivers can do. Only a few left out on track though.
Yeah, a couple of guys improving. Adam Jarvis is one of them. I believe he's going to be the first car to take the checkered flag of the bunch still out on track. And he does improve, but doesn't improve his standing in the board. So he will start 8th in the race. Lowest placed pro driver as it stands. I hope he's been working on his race pace a little bit more instead. Matteo Lemeray still circulating around. He'll be pleased to be quicker than Dave Van Eck as it stands, and he will be quicker than Dave Van Eck, so won't be the last car on the grid. Doesn't improve on this run though, 3 times off what he's previously managed. And Senna Botkoven, who was part of that brilliant fight we saw last week out, and currently sits second in AM, so we'll take home some nice points. Looking to see where he can slot on the grid for today's event. Currently P7, see if he can get on ahead of his rival, and he does. Highest place AM driver position for Senna Botkoven then.
And now the flight of the bumblebees as all the GTPs peel out, wait for 30 more seconds to take the green. You can see them all lining up now as that is Carlos Ponce we see there in the Iridium car. Again, 40 minutes for these GT3s. GTPs, excuse me. They are lined up on pit exit right now. You can't see them on the live timing sheet, but there was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them lined up, raring and ready to go. Green flag is shown. One of them despawns. We've got black.
Yep, just trying to fix a camera issue in iRacing momentarily. Believe we should be good now. So GTP's going out on track. Leading the pack is Albert Preem. So the man fighting for the title. I would throw up our graphic, but I think you're going to lose. You're going to lose audio again, unfortunately. So essentially, we're still cutting away from the cars quite a lot, unfortunately. So big implications in GTP is that Albert Preem, like we discussed, needs to win the race essentially with Eloy off the podium. But what we talked about very briefly during the GT3 session was what that actually means for some of these guys when we consider teammates and what they can do to help each other out. So Davy van der Backer switched to the Acura for the last round. Assumably he's coming back next season and he just wants to get a bit more practice in that car and doesn't see much championship money coming his way, so it made more sense to get that extra practice round in. He will not be fighting for any championship money as it stands, so he might be out there to help his teammate from DLR, Albert Preem. Your race winner from last time out by quite some margin, Matthias Weiten as well, might be able to help his teammate out. Jeffrey Ross, I believe, recently joined DLR, might also be able to his teammate out, but Jeffrey Ross, perhaps more so than the other guys, is still fighting for... and it's a spin in turn 1 for Albert Preem. Will not be the start to the day that he wanted.
So Albert Preem, has the Dutch League Racing side of things. Eli Caminero, the Iridium entry. I believe 3 cars for them in
I think
GT
Carlos Pons, Suanto Avale, Alvaro Gutierrez, and Eloy Caballero as well, actually.
I can't count them 4. You definitely see the bright blue cars as they come towards you.
Quinton Verdonk really, really quick in that Porsche so far this lap. I know it's only the first lap, but that purple means he's been quicker than anybody else so far this lap, which is what matters at this stage. Remember, track conditions are going to change.
Verdonk has the toe at Daytona, and obviously the infield has gone very well for Verdonk, but I feel like just being sat behind someone, especially... Oh, that car looks very stable, actually. Verdonk might just have a really nice qualifying setup as well that's helping a lot, but just being able to sit behind the car in front, get that slipstream. Obviously, you got the spray battering you down, but that doesn't matter because you got the air off your rear wing, and that means you just get to go really fast.
Yeah, I think the wake probably not as bad with these guys doing a little bit slower speeds on the infield as well than normal, so he might have been able to follow very, very nicely there. Albert Preem quicker than him, though, on that final stretch, which was interesting. But Preem has a half spin again in turn 1. And this is going to hold up Verdonk as well. He's currently 8 clear of the rest of the field at the front. Avale can only go P3 at the moment, but it is 2 seconds off the time of some of his competitors.
Oh, Gutierrez got spun on the exit of the bus stop. I'm not sure what happened there.
Let's see if we can find a replay for you here.
No, just That's not the bus stop.
That's not the bus stop, no.
So Gutierrez has had 2 spins, which is very unfortunate for the Iridium driver.
Yeah, this is a replay of his second accident, I believe, from a very poor camera angle.
Okay, just got... Because I saw the second car involved, I was like, wait a second, did something happen? No. Just, the wet conditions not favouring.
Well, we said Albert Preem needed to outscore his championship rival, and he's looking to do that in qualifying, and then he'll need to outscore him in the race as well. Quick request to race control is, can we have an updated can we have an updated standing after qualifying with the qualifying points if there's not too much for you guys to be looking at? Because that will affect the points difference and what everyone needs to outscore each other by in the race.
Caballero yet to set a time, which is important.
Green though, with that half spin at turn 1 last time round, and he does it again through turn 1, drifting, goes to the front of the field. Avale gets within a 10th, but he was 3 times clear of what Verdonk managed last time. No, Eloy Caballero in the title fight goes to pole position by 3.5 tenths to his rival Albert Preem. If qualifying continues this way, we're on for a banging race if these two manage to hold it at the front of the grid.
It is insane that Caballero gets that much of a gap out of nowhere, and obviously Preem this looks very unstable in the rear right now. That car is definitely turning, but I feel like he's going to be giving up. Well, he's losing a lot on the exit of corner, as you can tell. He's just struggling to get the power down without having that car snip out from underneath him. You can see this little wobble there as well in the exit 7. And you want to be carrying as much speed through this section as possible. If you give up that at the start, you're going to be giving it up all the way down here, and it's such a long run. The oval runs 2.5 miles on its own, and you're going for about a third of it until you get to the next braking zone.
Quinton Verdonk looking quick. He was obviously quick on that first lap, then got held up by Albert Preem, crucially, in turn 1 at the start of his second lap, so he's found himself a bit more of a buffer here for this third lap. And he's set 2 purple lap times. Of Arle vote down in P4 at the moment has also set a purple sector in sector 4. He's due to come across the line just after Albert Preem and Quinton Verdonk. We'll see if Preem can improve, but it's a lot of yellow so far this lap, and it's a yellow in the final sector as well, half a second off what he did previously. There won't be an improvement for him. Verdonk about to take the checkered, well, not the checkered, the finished line, and he does move up to P2. And has a bit of a moment in turn 1 as Avale goes to P1, and his teammate beats him once again to P1 by a very similar margin to what he did last time.
I suspect Iridium have something figured out for qualifying in these conditions. They look so stable, and Caballero has just been putting up some solid lap times right now that I just think they might have the setup.
Yeah, I think
crucially
crucially,
see the struggle that some of these other drivers are going through.
Crucially as well, is Iridium guys all running the Cadillacs have been able to work together on the setup. Been able to work together on the setup a lot going into this race, whereas all three DLR drivers are all running a different car, so they can't really work together too much on the setup. They can talk about what adjustments they want to do, but other than that,
The cars do have surprisingly different handling characteristics. Like, even though they are the same category, they do behave rather differently, and if you are running separate classes like that, it is very difficult to sort of converge. It's advantage for Iridium in that aspect. We'll see if it maintains as they go towards the race trim, but see what happens as they go forwards.
we could see as well, I don't know who's running in pairs. At the moment, most people are kind of running on their own, so not too much of a slipstream. So I wonder if
Pon's pulled off the track completely. I think he's just getting out of the way of everybody.
Quinton Verdonk, though, to the front with a very mediocre lap time in terms of only 2 green sectors and the rest were yellows. Davy van der Backer goes to P2, though. Strike back for the Dutch drivers, even though Quinton Verdonk, I believe, does not drive for DLR, but he maybe will aid his countrymen in their fight a little bit. David van der Vakevo nearly to the front. Matthias Weiten with a pretty good lap time. That puts him P3, so swings and roundabouts here. Preem is improving as well, even though he's dropped down now to P6, but he's got 2 greens so far. David van der Backer has picked up another purple sector in Sector 1, but can't improve in Sector 2. So I think the track changing quite dramatically at the moment, and people finding grip in all sorts of places.
Again, it's a drying track. As we keep running laps, water is just going to get pushed off of this track. You're going to find more and more speed. You want to be running at the end of this session as late as you dare, but make sure you've got enough space to do it in. A lot of good banker laps have been set by everybody at this point as Verdonk, slides into the wall. Still plenty of time to recover that, but yeah, expect these times to continue improving, and nobody is safe in this qualifying session right now.
Yeah, with the qualifying points in GT3, Oriel Falk extend his lead by 2 points to Daniel Morphy, but loses 2 points to Matteo Ubertali. And crucially, Daniel Morphy loses 4 points to Matteo Ubertali. So that could definitely have an impact in the race.
Gutierrez doing some donuts in the background. Gutierrez has just parked it.
Preem goes to provisional pole position with a pretty impressive final sector. 3 greens, 1 purple and a yellow. Davy van der Wacker beats him with 1 yellow and 4 purples to go to a 38.342. That puts him 1/10 clear of his teammate. And right now, Eloy Caballero has been pushed down to P5. I think if the race were to run like this, Davy van der Wacker would move aside for his teammate to guarantee the title for Albert Preem. But lots to play for as it stands. Matthias Weiten improves, but I believe stays where he was in P4. So only 200ths off of Quinton Verdonk now. Not much improvement as they go round, but as we've just seen, you can have an all-yellow lap and 1 good sector, and that puts you back to the front.
So that final sector goes from about in the start of the braking zone for turn 9, I would say. The bus stop chicane goes all the way around through NASCAR 3 and 4 to the timing line. That final sector is so much track. If you have, that is where you're going to find the speed as well, because once this track starts drying out, the speed goes through the roof, and you're able to get so much time. So yeah, the timing sheet is very uncertain right now. As long as you're out here at the end, that's where the optimal lap time is. Can you be there at the end? Caballero, I believe, just got a slingshot from Avale, so that's going to help the lap time as well.
Yeah, that final sector does include the bus stop chicane, I believe, but I think yes. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing drivers sacrificing the entry to that huge run that you discussed. Because if you can nail the exit out of there, even though it's slightly slippery, you can gain an insane amount of time.
3 yellows, 1 green. He's got the slingshot coming into the sector 4, gets a massive purple in the final sector, moves up, but not that much. Only P3 as it stands, and I don't think, unless he brings it all the way around the track, he's very deep through turn 1. I think he has to tow there. I don't think he's got time to get the car out and do an outlap. I think his qualifying is done, actually.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at that. I believe one of the DLR cars had to take a bit of avoiding action given where the car was parked, but you're always going to get these tricky situations in the rain. Doesn't look too bad from that angle, and nothing on the radio yet that I've heard, so not under investigation from race control.
Couple of cars leaving pit lane. I think they left it too late. There's under a minute left in the session. You're definitely not making an outlap at this pace.
Caballero tried to make it there. I don't know if he got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but that was the end of his session for him. So car number 963, Quinton Verdonk, is actually on a flying lap. He's fueled up. He's done a lot of consecutive laps here, I believe.
Trying to get heat in the tyres. He's done a stint of 4 laps, and this will be his second stint. That was his second lap.
Doesn't improve. So I wonder if he was charging the battery maybe for one final run.
Yeah. I think that was outlap +1. So this would be his actual flying lap. Meanwhile, Juanto Avale coming through the bus stop. Potential for an improvement. Obviously, there's a lot of time in this final sector. Track still drying, but
Quinton Verdonk with that purple sector 2 there, so maybe he has just saved the battery because he's looking pretty quick through there. That's 2 times quicker than most of the people have managed through that sector, and a chunk quicker than David van der Wacker managed on his last attempt. Albert Preem's only done the first sector so far. Hopefully he's going to slot onto our timing board soon. No, Albert Preem has pulled off the road actually, so was off the track somewhere, and that's it for GTP qualifying. Apart from that, Quinton Verdonk will get to finish his lap, and perhaps Carlos Ponce
is on the lap as well. Yeah. So Verdonk has that purple sector, green in the 4th sector, and now has just this final sling to go. Yeah, all the speed, the track, as it's still very wet. You can see the amount of spray being kicked up. This is the driest it's going to be for qualifying.
Yeah, we've seen him be particularly quick in this last sector as well, so this will be worrying Albert Preem, because if he can get ahead of Preem, that makes it a race particularly difficult. What he'll be hoping is that Verdonk slots in between himself and Caballero, but he doesn't. Verdonk goes to pole position at the end of the session with the ideal track conditions. Can Carlos Pons have anything to say about it? I'd be surprised. Currently 3.4 seconds off of that lap time. He'd need some mega improvement, and he's already a second off through sector 3 and half a second off through sector 2, so it's unlikely, and a couple of seconds off in sector 1. So Pons isn't going to improve up to the front. He could move himself ahead of Alvaro ahead. Jeffrey Ross probably won't have much impact on the championship battle down there, so Albert Priem will be hoping for some help from Matthias and Davey to help him out. If Matthias can get ahead of Eloy on lap 1 as well, that could be big for the race today. And don't forget, we're going to see some split strategies in this race as well. The free stop is normally encouraged due to the tank size, but races often can be done. Sorry, the 2-stop is often encouraged. 1-stop can often be done given the correct amount of fuel saving, as we saw last week out in Indy. So let's see if anyone can do just a 2-stop in 90 minutes.
That is the question. Can you go 30 minutes on a tank in the rain? These are the ideal conditions for trying to get that fuel save going. As we see, qualifying has ended. The session should advance a bit, and you can see the track conditions slightly changing. I don't know what's going on there.
I'm not sure. We'll leave you for just a couple of minutes and show you the trailer for what's to come next season. That's a 20-second time penalty.
This is an opportunity for Ignis to take the lead in GT3.
Welcome back, everybody. 2 minutes into warm-up.
Start will be wetter than the track is now.
Andy, our race director, coming on the radio to warn the drivers that it's going to get wetter before race start than it currently is out on track right now.
Currently a green band of weather approaching the track. It'll presumably start to pass as we get rolling for the pace lap. Don't know how quickly it's going to move past, but it is going to soak this track once again. And iRacing, notorious for being very slow to dry off when it gets wet.
Yeah, you can see the spray coming off the back of some of these guys. I know even turn 4, where a couple of these guys have just gone through that we were watching, was a bit of a lift in practice, which was drier than this. So we're going to see a very, very interesting lap one with people exploring the limits. Obviously, normally, I think the way we set up the session for this race was to have a bigger gap between warm-up and the race so that it could still carry on raining before the race start, which means a lot of these drivers are going to go into turn one with absolutely no idea of how much grip there is.
Oh, perfect conditions for a little bit of carnage, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially with championships on the line in GT3 Pro and GTP.
Obviously, this is the final warm-up session, just 5 minutes so they can get the cars out there. And normally they try and get a feel for what the car's doing under race conditions, but given the state of the track that's going to change dramatically, it's going to be all up and down. Take you through the qualifying results very quickly here. Quinton Verdonk, your pole sitter for Pandemonium Esports, on his own in this championship decider, which he's not going to be a factor. Davey van der Wacker, your P2 position. Albert Preem and Eloy Caballero, championship rivals, start 3 and 4, second row. Dutch League Racing and Rudy Motorsports head-to-head for this decider. Matthias Weichen and Juanto Avale, teammates in that third row. 7th place, Alvaro Gutierrez has Carlos Ponce for company, and Jeffrey Ross will round out the GTP field.
And in GT3, your pole sitter, Roman Duben, not in the title fight. Matteo Ubertali, Oriol Falk, Daniel Morphy lining up second, third and fourth are in the title fight. Matteo Ubertali being the third of those drivers. He's not had a 0-point drop round yet, so even though he's a little bit further behind, there's still big chances for people to race. Just getting some messages from race control, so just checking everything's all right with the broadcast. Yeah, it is. They're just dropping us some information. So Daniel Morphy then P4, like we just said. Ines Vincereski's not in the title fight, but still in the fight for P2 in the championship. Crucially, is that will be a good point to watch in the race, because he'll definitely be looking to overtake as many drivers as he can and win the race. Senna Bokhoven in GT3 AM sits in P6, highest outplaced AM driver Michael Kellenberger in AM, Adam Jarvis, the lowest placed pro driver Jose Carlos Villarejo in P9, Mateo Lemery in P10, and I believe there's one other car, so we'll just click onto the next page, and it is Dave Van Eck, your GT3 AM title winner, will start from the back row off the grid, but he's just here to have fun today.
And right now, the iRacing radar says we're right slap bang in the middle of the rain. We should start to see this track deteriorate very quickly. It is a sea of tyres, of wet tyres, excuse me. As far as I can see, no surprises there. But these conditions are going to be extremely variable. And there's going to be no real idea of how much grip this track has. We have half a formation lap, as is the usual here in the Anti-Stall Racing IMSA series. They're just going to have to send turn one and hope for the best, because there's no real way of doing it. You've got cold tyres, you've got a championship to fight for. Good luck. We're sending you in the deep end.
Yeah, Eloy has a 77-point lead over Albert Preem. So to score that, he would need Eloy to finish P5 or lower, I believe. But the qualifying results have now been taken into account.
There's also alternate situations in which if Carniero just completely crashes, there's a potential that Prim could finish higher or lower than first place, excuse me, and still win. But we won't think about those. We'll instead think about this race. The rain, you can see it has come. The leaders, as we take this green flag, aren't in the championship fight, but they're going to be a part of it whether they wanted to or not. It's all to play for in this final round at Daytona.
Yeah,
90 minutes on the clock. Here we go.
Eloy Caballero, if he wants to beat his championship rival into turn one, is going to have to go round the outside in the rain. Very risky. But Davey van der Wacker, ahead of both of his drivers, is obviously a teammate of Albert Preem. So let's see how this all plays out going into turn one. Start zone then.
Here we go then.
Go on.
Green flag flies for the final race of the Anti-Stall Racing IMSA series. It's a good breakaway by Quinton Verdonk. He's got no competition in turn one. Preem sneaks it down the inside, will take P2 away from Van der Wacker. Charge now into the horse. Oh, did Preem get tagged
Preem
there
got
by Van
loose,
der
hit the
Wacker? No,
wall.
Wacker goes off.
Bakker needs to get on.
it's all going
No. Oh, this is so close. Matthias Weiten now is ahead of Albert Preem. Both of them got ahead of Eloy Cavanieri into turn one. It was a dream start for Albert Preem. He had his two teammates between himself and Eloy, and they've led him back through. Masterful work here from DLR. So Albert Preem currently sits P2 as his two teammates behind defend into the horseshoe. And Eloy Cavanieri has dropped down to 5th place. That's crucial. The GT3s are in turn one. Apologies, we've missed that. They've all slotted through rather nicely out front. No big issues for anyone. Apart from Albert Preem, who's off. Albert Preem's gone off, and he's now behind Eloy Cavanieri in these super wet conditions. And he's now had to be passed by Eloy's teammate as well. That's Juanto Avale going down the inside through the banking. Let's take a look at what happened to Albert Preem.
He had such a good launch through turn one, and he got tagged. I'm not sure what happened there. I believe this has got to be a self-incident in turn 7, because he's got no competition around him. He's obviously got teammates helping out. Oh, there's more incidents in the GT3. We'll get to those as Preem goes sideways into turn 7.
Weiten is off as well, and Preem's off again.
What is going on? The rain has caught everybody by surprise. Nobody has grip anywhere.
Super wet out on track. Matthias Weiten now behind Albert Preem. Matthias Weiten dropping back even more. I think there's big damage on that Porsche. Quinton Verdonk sets the fastest lap, and it's now 3 seconds clear of Davy Van der Wacker in P2. So it was a dream start for Albert Preem, but it's gone very wrong very quickly. Turn 1 was perfect for DLR, but it's gone very wrong very quickly. We've seen how anything can happen though, so it's definitely not over till it's over. Crucially, though, I believe Daniel Morphy has dropped down the order, and Matteo Batali is now off as well. So it's looking really good for Oriol Falk in the GT3 Pro category, as his rivals are tumbling down the order quite quickly.
All over the place at the start. There was a GT3 wing on the floor somewhere on the track I saw on my end, so...
Oh no, Daniel
might be the
Morphy,
cause.
and is Daniel Morphy going to get together with somebody? No. This is what happened to Morphy. Oh, is he going to aquaplane? No. Oh, yeah.
No,
locked up the rear on the brakes, yeah, when he was going for a big puddle. Loses the bumper, but is driving away, dragging something along momentarily. Trying to find all of these incidents for you. Let's take a look at what happened to Matisse when he went off track through the bus stop chicane. Albert Preem's got a meatball. Not sure when he picked that up. Trying to find that now for you.
It's not surprising. Like, the DLR cars just look like they weren't prepared for this level of wet conditions, and they just don't seem to have any grip anywhere right now.
This is Albert Preem picking up his meatball, and it's out of turn 2, and he's just going to slide and hit the wall.
Yeah. Bang.
Now, crucially for Preem, he can get in the pit lane and do his fast repair, but he's now 24 seconds off the lead, and that's without his pit stop. So that's big loss for him then.
He's out of the window where he can really take a pit stop and take it as part of his strategy as well. This is a disaster for Preem.
Michael Kellenberg as well has got ahead of Senna Bockhoven. We'll try and find out how that happened. But the AM driver's running really well here, ahead of a lot of pros. Matteo Batali and Adam Jarvis behind a lot of these guys. That's why you got that big gap between Ignis and Mattia. So looking really good for Oriol at the moment. And Daniel Morphy, obviously even further back after that incident that he had. We'll see when he comes to pit lane to try and fix that damage. Albert Preem's in the pits to try and fix that damage. Let's try and take a look at what happened in turn 1 if we can.
Because I think he either got tagged or he just put his foot down too hard.
We saw him struggling a lot in turn 1 in qualifying, which was drier than this. So Albert Preem nicely, perhaps coordinatedly, gets past his teammate into turn 1. And then Albert Preem... Oh, he just got loose, I think. Yeah, there was no contact when that happened. So I think he just got loose. Unless it was...
Yeah, the DLR car there. Just goes completely off the track, trying to catch it. They all just seem loose.
Trying to find how Matisse... Go on.
They're running different hypercars, as we said, but they all just seem to have this really unstable level in the car in these conditions, to the point where I think it might be a team thing where they set up for a drier race that actually ended up being.
That's how Mateus got past Eloy Caballero into turn 1, but obviously that quickly went wrong later in the lap. Daniel Morphy in the pits, Albert Prina out of the pit lane. So those that needed to do repairs have done it. Adam Jarvis has got past Matteo Ubertali. Well, I think these guys have been at it for a while. Let's take a look at it from the first moment that we got to record. So Adam Jarvis with a mega exit out of the bus stop and clears him in the traction zone there. That's really, really impressive. I don't think this is going to be over, though, because Matteo Ubertali then just slots right back into that pretty strong slipstream, and you can see how much he's gaining straight away.
So now, how late does Jarvis get on the brakes here in turn 1? Because that's going to be the deciding factor, and you have to presume very stable, very easy, as you like, and slide a little bit in front, wants to get to the apex, does so perfectly. Car in front gets a little bit sideways, it's fine, still gets the power down, pulls away, but Cohen is going to be completely fine with that.
Yeah, Oriel Falk will be loving to hear that from his teammate over the radio as well, that they've managed to clear all of his championship rivals as well. Ignis Vinzarewskis is doing well if he wants to move up the order towards the front. He can't take the title, as we said, but he can take up to P2, so he'll be really looking forward to seeing that. Jeffrey Ross, I believe, has just had a small incident in the bus stop chicane. Let's take a look at what happened here.
Entry looks a bit wide. Does a good job. Just realizes, no, I'm not. If I turn this car, I'm probably going to spin. I'm just going to straight line and just take the 1x, but keep myself alive.
Yeah, that is
maybe a slow down there as well, but completely fine.
That is absolutely the smart thing to do there. If he tried to turn that car, it was going to end up in the wall. So glide across the grass and live to fight another day.
So obviously we had this championship fight going into this in all the categories, or at least the main categories. Verdonk and Van der Wacker are not part of those equations. They've gapped the field in these conditions right now. It is like remarkable driving from our two leaders right now. They've just been able to pull away. They are really doing well in the rain.
Yeah, they are. And Albert Preem is throwing down green sectors, but not anything that's really going to push him up the order towards the front here as we watch Mateus Viting get past Jeffrey Ross.
Preem is going to need more than green sectors. He's going to need a miracle. If you're taking a stop at 3 minutes into this race, burning your fast repair, and again, this is a 90-minute race, so you're going to need to presumably make 3 stops. Maybe you can stretch it to 2, but you also have to have something go wrong, because whatever happens, you're going to be doing 1 more stop than your opponents if you're on the same strategy. And if you're doing fuel save, you're going to be slower on track. You need a lot to go your way here tonight to make this work.
Absolutely, and Michael Kellenberger in the AM class is going to move up onto the overall podium ahead of Oriel Falk as this front pack pull away from the rest of the field. Senna Botkoven about 5 seconds off the back of these guys.
And now the GTPs have caught GT3s, and we got ourselves
Davey Van der Wacker goes round the outside of the 3 wide through turn 1. Verdonk has to back out. Van der Wacker keeps his foot in and takes the lead into turn 1 of GTP as they approach the first round of traffic.
And credit to Van der Wacker for making that work, but that was an insane move to go around the outside there. Makes it stick. But the confidence and the respect that Verdonk showed there to back off when he realised, oh, wait a second, I probably don't want to go 3 wide. It's a good battle up front. We'll see if it maintains. They've still got a few more GT3s to get through, but just good use of traffic there by Van der Wacker to make that move happen.
Yeah, very eyes up from Van der Wacker to choose the outside line. We've seen a lot of races lost when drivers have chosen the wrong line, and Verdonk makes the right call to live to fight another day. He's absolutely rapid at the moment. His fastest lap is 4 tenths quicker than Van der Wacker, so given the right conditions, I imagine he's not going to give up this one easily, and he will fight back.
Definitely has the advantage of just being able to stay in that toe for now, though. And again, Daytona, big track, big toe, big good. Slightly offset through the bus stop, though. But oh no, actually, Van der Wakker's going to get checked up here on exit. So there's a good chance Verdonk can just get the run back into turn 1 and can trade positions again. We'll have to stay on board with this because this is going to get very dramatic very quickly, I think.
Yeah, Preem matched these guys last time round, but he's firing down purples right now So he is pretty quick at the back. What he needs to make sure he does is not do any more pit stops than these guys. So he needs to make sure he can do this on 2 more pit stops. Now, obviously, it's normally very marginal, so even having gone 5 minutes will help him.
Just a massive amount of spray that's being kicked off the back of Van der Wacker makes it very hard to spot traffic if you're the donk. So I imagine he's just going to bide his time here, stay single file. Now you're through the GT3s, you can start to spread your wings a little bit and try and get your foot down, find a way past the Acura in front of you. But you need, like, from the face of it, the donk should have the pace over Van der Wacker. So you'd expect Verdonk to be able to make the move. It's just a question of where and how, because it's not necessarily easy to get this done. Villarejo's very weirdly angled there and gets into the side of Villarejo, I believe that is.
And Lemray takes a position and then defends going into the horseshoe. Villarejo tries to go around the outside. These two are going to keep at it.
Switch back potentially, and back again. That's a lot of movement there from. Yeah, that is Villarejo. Lemray just holds the line, gets the foot down on the exit 7, slides back in front to take the apex. I do respect it.
Villarejo might have a chance into the bus stop. Whilst we were following all of this as well, Matteo Batali took his first stop of the race. He's come out 5 seconds behind Morphy in the championship battle. Villarejo thinks better of down the inside. But if he can nail the exit here, it'll be a glide through turn 1. And looks like he has, to be honest. He's gaining a lot here on the exit.
But I think we're going to have the GT3 problem again, in that it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. You have the slipstream for now. The second you pull out, you're on the outside at Daytona. You have no draft. You can only go as fast as the car to your... I don't know what I'm talking about, because it does look like Villarejo might be faster in clean air. Might choose to send it around the outside of turn 1. It's still a very risky proposition, though. We'll see what happens. Gets very deep on the brakes. Tries to get the car turned around. Can't quite do it. And it does look like Lemray's just got the car hooked around perfectly. No chance for a switchback. Really well defended there by the McLaren.
Yeah, Lemray showing he knows what to do when he needs to defend. He's picking the right spots on the track and making it work here.
Villarejo must be so annoyed right now. He's just getting shut down at every available opportunity. Ooh, don't know about that one.
I think that was just coming back onto the line to take the corner there. And this is a GTP trying to make his way through one of the Iridium cars. That's car number 4. Carlos Pons running at the back at the moment. Alvaro Gutierrez, by the way, did not take the start of this race.
Ooh, okay.
Not seeing any laps recorded.
Interesting. Well, I do see him off track as well. So, and speaking off track, Matteo Batali's gone for a wild ride. Not sure what happened there. We'll presumably get a replay shortly. This is in the infield, though, so I'm expecting nothing too crazy to occur. I'm just expecting the car to go a little bit out of control.
It's very quick coming into it. It's already loose on the way in. Oh, it's going to over-rotate. Yeah.
Oh, you're just chasing it all the way through the corner, hoping the rear catches up to the front, but doesn't quite get there, and car goes around.
So Albert Preem's going to catch this bunch in front of him quite quickly, it looks like, based off the lap time so far, but it's going to be much more difficult to catch the others ahead, so he's really playing a strategy race here now and hoping that some craziness can bring himself back into this, but he needs to essentially win this race to win the title, so it's a really, really big challenge for him now.
Yeah, considering when that pit stop is, we can essentially calculate him as on the same strategy as all the other drivers until we see otherwise. As you go to a replay, Lemray spun. We'll get back to that because Kallenberger is about to get dove.
Kallenberger going to go down the inside of...
No, Kallenberger's the one doing the diving. My apologies.
Down the inside of Ignas Vincereschi. He's the pro driver who currently runs P2 in class, but Kallenberger running P2 overall in GT3. Very, very impressive drive from him today. Let's take a look at what happened to Matteo a couple of moments ago as well, going into turn 1.
Obviously having a defensive showcase. against Villarrejo.
Oh. Oh no.
Car looks unstable, and he's looping it. That's unfortunate.
Villarejo and Preem take the outside line.
It's good evasive driving by them. It's just unfortunate the car in front. Again, these conditions are so treacherous, and once that rear starts going, it's very hard in the GT3s to get it back underneath you. So yeah, car just loops in turn 1. No major issue comes of it, so they'll presumably be fine with it overall. And first 15 minutes of this race, and it's been quite dramatic. No major incidents though. Everyone's just sort of had their own demise as Ponce loops it on the bus stop. That's what you don't want to do. That's the point where you go, no, I know I'm going to loop the car, I'm just going to drive straight instead. Fortunately, Ponce not quite there as get more replays of that. Meanwhile, Dave Van Eyck in a shoot fight with Adam Jarvis, I believe.
And so Am Driver getting past the pro car there. Well, I believe they're going to continue to fight it out for the rest of this lap.
And is that Bakoven, excuse me, next to Jarvis?
That is Dave Van Eyck. That's Dave Van Eyck. And Adam Jarvis. So Adam Jarvis, I believe, is going to come out ahead overall. They're still going at it. I can see the same timing screen as you. They keep ping-ponging back and forth.
I can't read my timing sheets.
And Jarvis gets a half spin on in turn 1, and that's going to let Dave Van Eyck try and get around the outside. But and they bang wheels. And that's not going to please Adam Jarvis. Currently, Falk will win the title by 89 points. Ubertali is 41 points shy of taking P2 as it stands. But remember, Ubertali and Morphy right at the back currently, so still plenty of progression in this race for those two drivers. I'm going to stay with this replay because I think these guys are going to go at it for a tiny bit more, because Adam Jarvis, he is now back behind.
I have the live images. I can tell you they are still going at it.
Back to live here. This is a half spin. We saw Dave Van Eyck getting back past Adam Jarvis. That's all live. So let's just go back to live.
So Van der Wacker still leads for Donk, Caballero P3 and Preem P7 in the GTP fight. Roman Dubert still has a good lead over the GT3 field with Kellenberger and Vintrevski's, again, not title contenders. Falk P4 with Morphy and Ubertali at the back of the field as it stands currently. So a lot of points that they can still pick up, as you said, but a lot of drivers that weren't in the picture putting themselves in the frame, so to speak. As like Kellenberger is listed as an AM driver right now and is P2 overall. So it's really good showing for Kellenberger in this race that, yeah, you can just show up and throw hands with the best of them in Ansel Racing League. It's a good showing.
Yeah, and he's doing really well, actually. He's matching thereabouts what the driver in front of him's doing. He's actually brought the gap down marginally so far this lap as well.
I believe Caballero... no, Again, I can't read my timing sheet. Whiten is putting pressure on Avale. There we go.
And Viton and these two not far behind Caballero as well. So Albert Preem will be egging his teammate on to try and slow down Eloy Caballero at whatever cost once he clears Juanto Avale.
But, like, there is such a gap between Van der Wacker and Verdonk and everybody else right now. 12 seconds off the back of Verdonk. Like, these two have just pulled away from the field. I don't know if it's just a wet setup thing, and once this track does start to dry out, which over an hour and a half, you'd hope it would dry out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely expecting it to dry out, and I think the crucial point is if we do get to slicks, who chooses the right time to go to slicks, and even if we don't get to slicks, who chooses the right time to go for a new wet as well. I think over 90 minutes, if they are going to stay on wets the whole race, I would expect some people to definitely consider changing those tyres.
But I remember the last wet race I remember watching in this series was Le Mans. And that race was supposed to dry out. As a huge dive bomb into turn 1. Jarvis trying to pick at the inside, gets the car.
It's the leader's approach as well.
They're going to have to wait right now because there's two GT3s in front of you side by side. Jarvis slides up in front. The GTPs should take the outside away from Van Eck, and he's just going to get pinned in here. Jarvis has managed to steal that position and get away with it. Oh, and that's an investigation. Lebanese Caballero. Not sure what's going on there, but that's the first race controller said, no, we're having a look at that.
Yeah, let's take a look. This is Matteo off track, and I don't know if Cabanillero's had to take avoiding action here. Tags a wall for Lemeray.
Oh, no, this is a resafe jointly, isn't it? In
all fairness, I'm not sure what he could have done there, but that's a big, big hit for Caballero.
I mean, that's a resafe jointly, because you see the car moving backwards, you're like, oh god, where do I go? Caballero gets wiped out. We need to go further back than that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, apologies everyone, this is going to not look very pleasant. Is the only way we can get a bit further back. There we go. Nobody saw anything.
So because you see him reversing, so like, oh god, he's reversing back on track, I need to get to the inside, and then he stops. That is... okay. But Caballero...
Let's have a look how much relative movement there is, because I think whatever happened here, Caballero was probably going to hit him.
I mean, it's the question of you see movement and then the car stops, right? That's what's really going to get you.
Anyway, that incident is under investigation, as you would expect.
Van der Wacker and Verdonk have come into the pit lane.
20 minutes in, that is where we would normally expect to see a pit stop in a race.
I'd say it's a smidge...
It's a little bit early.
On window, actually.
It's a little bit early considering I think we thought some people were going to try and two-stop it at half an hour intervals.
Actually, no. If you're on the 3-stop, this is about in the window. I take it back. So yeah, those two I think are committed to the 3 stops, as is Jeffrey Ross, who's also come in.
Perfect timing for Eloy Caballero to pick up that meatball 1 lap before the pit stop, because his time loss is going to be very, very minimal.
Minimal in consideration he had to drive around the track with. I don't think that front right is actually moving.
No. But minimal in terms of he's not making a whole extra pit stop.
True. It's as good as it could be, given the fact that he just T-boned a GT3.
Exactly.
As Van der Wacker leads Verdonk out of the pit lane again. And...
those two very close, eh?
Just driving off into the distance. Van der Wacker now listed as P3. Whitener and Ovale yet to take a pit. They presumably then are looking to try and make a fuel save and a 2-stop happen, as Caballero still in the pits. That should be a normal service who pulls out about now. Yep, there we go.
So where does this put Albert Preem? 9 seconds off the leaders, but obviously had that very early pit stop. I'm trying to look when he came in. He came in on lap 3, 5 minutes into the race.
So I think we pretend that pit stop doesn't happen. He's on strategy with Whiten and Ovale, who have come in now, which is a bit early if you're looking to make a 2-stop happen. I'm going to be honest. I think they might be on 3 stops as well. Excuse me. Preem can obviously go a little bit further.
I think Preem has got to try and stretch this now to make it into just, well, what will be a 3-stop for him, but is the 2-stop strategy. It's going to be very, very difficult, though, yeah. So that's put Eloy Caballero back of the main field, essentially. Even behind Carlos Pons, who's had a pretty difficult race so far today, although hasn't made a pit stop yet. A couple of his GT3 drivers out front haven't made a pit stop yet. Oriol Falk and Adam Jarvis obviously did that 1-stop strategy last week out, which gave Oriol Falk the win and gave him the buffer that he's got this week, because he was off the pace all of last week. So mega strategy from him, putting himself in the position to clinch the title here at Daytona. They're running longer than everyone else, as is Dave Van Eck, also yet to make a pit stop. Everyone behind them has pit, so Roman Dubert still your leader, but only by 1.7 seconds now to Michael Kellenberger. That's net lead. Oriel Falk and Adam Jarvis trying to make it work on the 2-stop, it seems.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Falk makes that 2-stop happen. Now, we've seen how good Falk is on the fuel save, and I think these conditions are a little bit easier to save as we go on board Carriero for a replay. I can't imagine this is going to go particularly well.
Oh, sorry, this is from before, yeah.
This is a wounded car trying to hop around the track as quickly as possible. I'll give Carriero credit. That's probably as good as it was going to look through there.
And he has just gone past his teammate, I believe, but that was on pit entry.
It's very easy to overtake someone who's on the pit limiter, I found. So that is Vanek and Jarvis and Falk in.
25 minutes in, they're not going to be able to 2-stop this, because that's going to put them 15 minutes short by the end of the race. But they are going to give themselves short pit stops as well.
Yeah, it's worth saving if you can, but I think getting an extra stop out of this, unless we get the miracle safety car, which given the state of the race, I would be surprised if we got. I think everybody in this race is on a 3-stopper. I don't think Preem's in the pit now.
So he's not going to make it either.
No, I think everybody's committed to 3 stops at this point.
So what Preem really needs is almost everybody ahead of him to have an incident. Why he holds onto the car, and Caballero to have a big incident.
You know what? We are at Daytona. That we've seen the level of incidents certainly the 500 can have here. I don't think we have the number of cars, nor are we on the right layout to get those level of incidents, but by God, we're going to try and channel the spirit anyway.
Absolutely. Morphy as well, currently running in P3, but that's a kind of inflated P3. He's not actually running there. He pitted 5 minutes into the race as well to do repairs. 10-second time penalty for Matteo Lemre for an unsafe rejoin. Not the harshest unsafe rejoin penalty we've seen, but also not the most stupid. He did kind of have to get out of the way of a blind turn 1. He just could have been a bit more sensible about it. I think race control will feel.
I'll give him credit. He's got a I don't know what that wall's made out of, but you're certainly not driving through it in front of him. You have to back on track at some point. He just chose his timing poorly. There's not much else to say on the matter.
It's very close under braking, but not close enough to make the move. Badonk very close into turn 1, but also not close enough to make the move.
You need to be alongside to make these dive bombs work on this track. There's just no other way of doing it. You don't have that much performance in the brakes to really outbrake someone by enough that you could just pull out from nowhere. You need to be fairly close in the first place, I would say. As Falk looking very close to Vincherevsky's here. Takes the inside line, can't quite get the foot down.
Falk will need to play this sensibly. Vincerevsky's trying to move himself up into potentially P2 in the championship. Falk just looking to sit pretty and win the title. I think if he's thinking smartly, he'll not fight this one too hard. Morphy makes his pit stop at 28 minutes into the race as well. He won't be able to do the 2-stop. That's that'll be a 4-stop for him essentially.
Yeah, because he had the early incident and came in lap 2. I think, again, everyone looking to make 3 scheduled stops today. Whether people do more is a question of how bad does the racing go for them. Villarejo dives the inside. That is a corner where you don't need to be alongside, and you can just send it in deep if you get the outbreak, because you do come to a near complete stop for that hairpin.
I believe he's going to keep this position as well as the GTP of Albert Prima arrives on scene at just the right time.
Back with Falk then as he looks at the ribbon from Vincherevsky's.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to have to let this one go, to be honest. About 5 turns behind, so Vincerevsky's has pulled that in just this lap.
Van der Acker and Verdonk looking close on track. Oh, that is Carlos Ponce in a very awkward situation. I believe that's turn 5. So we go to Dave Van Eck instead.
Yeah, apologies. I'm trying to get a live image as I believe he's off track somewhere. He's kept it going. He was only off track for just over a second. Let's take a look at what happened to Carlos Ponce.
So comes through the fling.
Got a little bit loose there.
Gets on the anchors. Car doesn't turn. Tries to turn it anyway. Spins. Yeah, I think he's just a little late on the brakes and just ended up on the very wet side of the track. Obviously, no cars running that outside. You want to be on the apex of that corner, so that outside can be very wet and very easy to lose the car there. See what happens to Suneba Koven.
On his way past Adam Jarvis here, he's now moved up into P6 overall and currently runs second place in AM.
Good move. I think Jarvis gave him a bit of space there just because I don't think he realised the faster car was behind, so get that car in front instead, and Koven should drive away here. So once again in this championship deciding round, it's no champions contenders out the front as Dave van der Wacker leads Quinten Verdonk in the GTP field, with nearest contender being Caballero, who's down in P6 right now. I believe Preem does need to win the race to contend based on the numbers that Race Control provided, and so far Preem down in P7, 55 seconds off the lead currently. Meanwhile, GT3 Roman Dubert leads Michael Kellenberger with Vincherevsky's a distant P3, Falk P4, Batali P5, Adam. Sorry, it's Morpy in the fight, isn't it? Currently P10.
Yeah, Daniel Morpy's going to struggle from back there. Really unfortunate for both him and Mattia Ubertali, who had those early incidents. Trying to remember when Mattia pitted, because he did pit earlier than the rest of it. He pitted after 10 minutes. Maybe he can extend his stint a little bit more than some of the others.
Yes, but again, we're probably looking at 2 stops here for everybody here. Still just under an hour left of this race. The under the moon at Daytona Beach. And it has quietened down, except at the front, where Verdonk is still quite close to the back of Van der Wacker. Looks to the inside, does Verdonk, gets alongside under braking, actually sends it in very deep, gets given the space, slides it in front, can't complete the slide on exit, but gets enough power down that Verdonk has just taken the lead of this race.
Yeah, mega move there. He'd been shaping it up for a few laps, running in the so nicely, and I think this time just stayed tucked up a slight bit longer. Slingshotted his way past. Definitely not over though. David van der Wacker is stuck to the back of him here. We'll let these two try and work it out for a moment, and we'll see how Oriol Folk got past Ignis on the inside into the first horseshoe. There's a little bit of wheel bang in there. Race Control will almost certainly be on that one, I would imagine. I'm trying to see if there was actually contact points going to either of them. I'm not sure that
like
there
potentially
was.
a 0x. It looked more like a shove than a bang, and those tend to be zeros.
They both got a 1x, I think, so I think Race Control might have a look at that.
I'll be honest, I think Folk took the grass, and that would have given the 1x and the 0x sort of propagated between them.
Let's take another look at the move from Quinten Verdonk, who chose the inside this time.
You want the inside. If you get given the inside, you're taking it every day of the week. It is just so much nice to get that car wrapped around there, to get it through. Obviously, these two still fairly fast. They're still very close together. Van der Wacker's got the right on the rear bumper.
I think we're going to see a replay into turn 1. Davey van der Wacker is going to... He's forced to be outside here by Quinten Verdonk, who sticks to the inside. He's going to be alongside into the braking zone. No, he's not. He's lost that top speed that he had behind the Porsche. It's almost like he should have backed off, stayed tucked up, and then gone for the inside in turn 1. But Quinten Verdonk's deep. Davey van der Wacker, is he going to get alongside? No, but he's going to have a good run, surely, into the first horseshoe as they approach from GT3 traffic. That's Jose Carlos Villarejo ahead of him and Adam Jarvis. And Is Dave Van der Vacker going to use the traffic to his advantage once again? And no, he can't. He chose the outside, but GT3 came back across. Quinton Verdon clears the GT3, and Dave Van der Vacker's not having any of it. He's coming through as well. Chooses the outside for the second horseshoe. I don't think he's going to get it done here. Really going to be difficult to do it there. Preem on the radio momentarily. Not sure what that's about. Haven't seen anything pop up, so perhaps just accidentally caught the wrong button there. As they clear another GT3.
Now Verdonk's doing a good job of defending here, but he's just very aggressively getting to the inside line before the corner even comes up. So Van der Vack is never going to have a chance to pick that inside away, which usually ends up being the preferred line everywhere around Daytona. See what line Verdonk chooses coming down towards this bus stop. If he goes defensive earlier, he lets it just sit because Van der Vack is a bit more off. Yeah, takes the not natural line here, carries speed through. Might just have to go defensive here because the GT3 is going to compromise his exit slightly. And Van der Vack not there, so we'll expect Verdonk to hold this yellow line, cover that inside off, make sure there's no chance of move from that second place car.
I think Dave Van der Vacker needs to be clever here and wait until the very last second to dive to the inside. Mattia Ubertali comes to the pit lane to make his stop. No, lifts off.
No, but I saw Verdonk take the outside line there. I was thinking, does Van der Vacker send it, given that space? But no, chooses to be patient, chooses to just let it sit. They'll run P1 and 2 for a bit longer, but the gap has come down to Matthias Veiten. Now under 10 seconds. So still potentially a chance for a scrap at the front, but again, championship contenders nowhere near the front of this race.
Yeah, I think these two perhaps feeling right now as though they are... I think Dave Van der Vacker perhaps feeling right now that he's been held up by Quinton Verdonk, as like you said, Matthias Veiten is gaining on them behind. Carlos Villarrejo down the inside of Adam Jarvis into the second horseshoe, and they're going to run side by side on the exit, but Villarrejo has the traction to pull away. Nicely
you're
done.
on the line that's been run the most, you're on the line that's had the most water knocked off of it, you're going to be able to drive away a lot easier. Villarrejo gets past Jarvis and should just be able to break away a little bit here. You can see that high line taken by Jarvis, trying to swing down, trying to build momentum, tucks in that draft, but looks very far back. I don't think there's a chance of a move here, as Van der Vack has actually lost a bit of space for Verdonk through the bus stop. I think GT3s might have gotten in his way a bit, and that's let Verdonk in that Porsche get a 2-second lead now. Biggest we've seen all race, I think.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest lead he's had at any point, and the biggest lead, and bigger than any lead that Dave Van der Vacker had. It looked like Dave Van der Vacker there got caught up behind Ignas Vincereskis.
This is the thing, traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. Sometimes you just catch the GT3 right on the entry of the bus stop and there is no way past there unless you're willing to take a really risky dive.
Jarvis with a mega slipstream there and getting some really great top speed. He's going to be alongside. Chooses the regular line into turn 1 but can't do anything on the brakes to stay ahead.
Yeah, like as long as Villarrejo gets it parked properly here, he's done it all he needs to do. Take that inside away, make sure you can't get dove to the apex, make sure you get there first, and you should have enough grip there to just pull away nicely. These conditions, it's very hard to go offline and make a move stick, so good job there by Jose Carlos Villarrejo to make that move work in the Audi.
Yeah, Jarvis just settling in here as Jeffrey Ross, that is, I believe, trying to make his way through just ahead.
Yes. Yeah, it's the fun thing about driving GTPs. You need to make sure you don't get in the way of these GT3s, because otherwise you're going to get stuck behind them and you're going to be flashing more P down the dive. Just about gets it in there in time, gets given the space as well.
Yeah, Daniel will be on that recovery drive right now.
Yeah, just gets past Dave Van Eck, I believe that is, yep, in the Euro Next Gen Racing entry. One of 5 McLarens we have on track at the moment. Very popular car, given its recent release, and has pulled up some decent numbers, but right now not doing too good in the wet weather.
Yeah,
slightly furthest towards the back of the field.
expecting to see the Acura join next season as well, I believe. That's the Acura GT3, that is. Joining the IMSA grid.
No. Put the GTP Acura in the GT3 field. See what happens. I insist.
Let's just put it in the field, apply the right amount of bot so it's on the same pace and see what happens. 50 kilos
Terrible
maybe will
things.
do it. Who knows? A lot of 1Xs for drivers coming in at the moment, but Albert Prima and Eloy Caballero are the joint highest so far in the race. They've got 8 each, as we are... maths is escaping me. We're just under halfway through today's race. So 8 points so far. Instant limit was upped for today's race as well, given the race is slightly longer. So I think drivers can get 24 instant points before they receive a drive through. So plenty of buffer still for most cars.
So surprisingly easy to get 1Xs around Daytona. Most of the track is fine, but that bus stop, it will catch you off guard if you're not careful, and you can just stack up a few there. Given how high its limit is, though, I don't think we're at risk of any drive-throughs unless someone has a particularly bad outing, but we'll assume that's not going to be a concern for anyone for now.
Dave van der Wacker, well, I was about to say he's taking time out of his rival ahead, and he was a little bit quicker on the last lap, but it's swinging to and fro every corner, down to 1.7 seconds now.
Whiten slowly closing in that gap in third place, but there it's just a gulf to Avali in fourth. So far it does seem to be very settled at the front. Which lies towards Caballero and Preem, and Preem again needs to find a miracle to win the championship, because from P7 needs to find a way to win this race if he wants a chance at that championship.
I think Preem's only realistic chance is the track drying up and nailing the tyre swap. Because you could easily, I think you could being on the right tyre at the right time is easily going to gain you 10, 20 seconds perhaps a lap. If you absolutely nail it, you're just going to be driving around people like they're stationary.
But then you'd also need to probably have the best drive of your career. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, I would say.
Absolutely. That gap at the front still coming down slowly. It's down to 1.3 actually. He's taking a big chunk out of him through the bus stop there, and that is because Quinton Verdonk got caught up behind Matteo Lemre a little bit there, and Dave van der Back will be loving that after he lost all of his time when he got caught behind Vincerevski's.
You can see just closing in, but on the straights, I think Verdonk running slightly lower wing. Just means you can pull away a little bit and then close in under braking if you're Van der Wacker. That gap going to go back and forth between these two drivers for a little bit, but Van der Wacker seems to have the pace in hand on the current conditions. And we'll talk about the conditions again briefly, because I'm looking at this spray. Call it, 40 minutes into this race. Track's still very wet and doesn't seem to be showing any signs of drying.
Yeah, not seeing any dry lines. Quite cold temperatures here as well today, which won't be helping the track dry with no sun beating down on it.
Yeah, so we are, I think, 1:45 sim time as it stands currently. Middle of the night in Daytona. Ambient currently 18 degrees. Track currently 15 degrees. Coldest I've ever seen it. And a relatively low car count. Only 19 cars on track, given Gutierrez's unfortunate retirement from this race. I'm not sure what's going on there, but condolences to them. But yeah, this track is ideal conditions for just staying wet. So it'll be interesting to see if we do actually go onto the dry tyres towards the end of this race at all or not. And if we do, do you get enough laps on them to make a difference? Because if the track dries 15 minutes left in the race, okay, everyone can bolt on dry tyres and you might be able to get a lap or two of outpacing your opponents, but do you have the time to make up the difference if it's that late in the day that you get the swap?
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any additional rain expected.
Non-scheduled, but iRacing could decide to have a moment of God. I highly doubt it.
Oh, bit deep there for Quinton Verdonk,
Oh.
as Davey van der Vacker is now right on the back of him, less than a second separating the two. Van der Vacker a little bit cautious getting on the throttle there, though, drops a couple of attempts back. Jeffrey Ross has just entered the pit lane at 44 minutes. It is about time for that second pit stop. I think we saw drivers going about 22 to 26 minutes on the previous stint.
Yeah, that is the a normal fuel distance you see in the Ansel Racing League, and these fuel tanks have not been adjusted for this longer race, so I would certainly say pit window is now open for all these drivers, but some of them you typically want to go along anyway, right? Just to shorten up that final pit stop as much as you can. And I would suggest taking tyres on this stop as well. Just because it's going to be the best opportunity. You need a full tank of fuel anyway to make it to the end of this race. These tyres have probably taken a beating. You're definitely going to want to minimise that final pit stop. Go long on the first two stints, and I would say take tyres here would be my optimal strategy. Unfortunately, I'm no Larry McReynolds. I'm only... Well, I mean, I am the crew chief for Who Trainers Racing, but we don't tend to win on pit strategy.
We did try it last year
really fast drivers.
In Daytona. We did try and do it, but other things prevented us from winning that were nothing to do with pit strategy.
We realised, wait a second, we have fast drivers to get the fuel safe. We wouldn't be able to use the fact that we have fast drivers. Let's use fast drivers.
So Verdonk, Davey van der Vacker, Matthias Weiten all pit then. And that is Quinton Verdonk got jacked up then, but Davey van der Vacker did not. Trying to see if we can get another camera angle here that's maybe going to tell us a little bit more. This is about the best we've got. So Verdonk now off the jacks. It's very quick for changing all four tyres, so not sure if he did change all four there. Matthias Weiten a little bit further back. Don't believe he's changing tyres either. So all just waiting for fuel now. And no, the tyre's quicker than the fuel, so I don't know if Quinton Verdonk is alternating. Van der Vacker follows him out very quickly.
You definitely want something on this stop, I would say. I don't know how many they're taken or what the plan is, but yeah, this is definitely the best stop for taking them. So
Michael Kallenberger, first of GT3 leaders to pit as well.
Lemray also on the pits, but obviously a bit further down the order currently.
Lemray. Oh, no.
No, not quite.
I thought he'd caught it then, but unfortunately not for Matteo, as he would have scared. I believe that's Eloy Cavaniero coming into the pit lane.
I've had some dramatic pit entries on this track as well, and sometimes you're just right on the edge in these conditions. That edge is a lot sooner than you think it is. Unfortunately, it's not able to stay on top of the car there. Unfortunately, goes out for a visit to the infield grass. But yeah, it's no real harm done there. Just needs to get it spun around to get back on pit lane. Probably might have actually got a penalty there. I'm surprised he didn't for an unsafe pit entry. But I don't know what the ruling for that would be actually for iRacing, as O'Reilly comes in as well.
You might have had to serve a hold penalty, perhaps, in the pit lane.
Yes, that would be the normal one you'd get from iRacing for an unsafe pit entry. I'm surprised we didn't see a black flag if that was the case, though. So
Van der Vacker lost about a second and a half in the pit exchange. He's already gained some of that back as we get some dodgy timing screens because of the way they're going. Bass now down to 1.8 seconds. 1.6 as they go through turn one. Back up to 1.8 nearly.
As well, it is the Daytona pit entry. It is very easy to gain or lose time there, depending on how brave you are with your braking. So, see what that ends up being over the course of the race, though, is... You know, we've seen Van der Vacker have the pace on that last stint. I don't know if it's a case of Verdonk just burned through the tyres a little bit, and Van der Vacker is going to take his time getting back up to pace, but 2 seconds seems to be the margin they've taken throughout this race right now. We'll see what they go towards the rest of the race. I'm just checking on the rest of the contenders. Obviously, Preem yet to take the second actual stop. Caballero has taken theirs, so we'll see what that shakes out towards the end of this race. But again, Preem, If he wants championship, he's going to need to have a miracle. Ooh, defensive move by Morphy into turn 1. Not sure what that was about. Got very aggressive there, defending against Kallenberger, I believe that is coming through.
Adam Jarvis.
No, I can't read cards anymore. Morphy versus Jarvis.
Oh, Morphy gets a little bit loose in the braking zone, and Jarvis has got a chance to come back, but that's not going to work. Let's take a look at how it happened in turn 1.
Morphy tries to cover off the inside, but I think it's just a little too late in the day and has to...
Other way around, but yeah.
No, Jarvis tries to cover off the inside, he gets a little bit late on the day, and yeah, Morphy just sticks his nose in time, gets the move done. It's a little bit risky there for the...
That lead
there, but just it's in time.
In GTP is still extending, but Matisse has brought down his gap to both of them, crucially. So I wonder if one of them took tyres and one of them didn't. I wonder if Dave Van der Vack has ruined that decision to not take tyres.
Because that was probably the best stop you're going to have, because you needed a full tank of fuel. You've probably got a lot of damage on your first set of tyres, to the point where the heat conservation isn't going to be worth it.
I'm seeing at 21 minutes in the race, log showing them switch to dry and then back to wets. And then nothing this time around, but I don't know if that's just a bug in the race control software, to be totally honest.
That sounds like a bug, because I don't know why you would swap to dries.
So they swapped to dries and then back to wets a second later. So I don't know if that's just when the wheel is momentarily off the car in the pit lane. It assumes the car has got dries on.
That sounds more likely, as Morphy will take Jarvis to the pit lane. Van Eck and Vinsarevsky's next to make that call.
Yeah, Dubert and Kallenberger still going out front, doing pretty well there. 51 minutes into this session, nearly 52 with 38 left to go.
Vinsarevsky stays out, excuse me. So Dubert, Kallenberger, Falk, and Vinsarevsky's yet.
Vinsarevsky's has done 2 stops.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
So Dubert, Kallenberger have not pitted yet.
No, they have.
Apologies, yes, they have. We just completely missed it. They've pitted. Everyone has pitted now, essentially. Is the easy way of saying this.
Jarvis, is in the pits. Dave Van Eck is in the pits. That works out.
Yeah. What about Ubertali? Ubertali is yet to make his second/third stop, because he did a stop at 36 minutes into the race, so he can go a little bit longer before he has to make his next stop. The lead out front, though, Dave Van der Vack has taken the lead because Quinten Verdonk has gone off track on the infield. Let's take a quick look at how that happened.
Because he comes up to this race and I thought he got in a bit hot. He just gets I thought he got it stopped on the outside line, but obviously there's no grip there. It's been wet. No one's running out there. So he goes straight off the track, and Van der Vack comes clean through.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's his teammate as well in the GT3 of Vinsarevsky's, so that did not go very well for those two.
I think Vinsarevsky's was always going to leave the space. I just think Verdonk was a bit too far back to make the move.
It was very brave. He probably did not want to sit behind the free-back corner because he knew that Dave Van der Vack would be on the back of him, but this has not worked out for him either. He's gaining quite quickly on the run into the bus stop. Sorry, to run into turn 1.
He could stop a bus into turn 1, I think, as Verdonk should dive to the inside if he wants to. He's going for it. That's a very deep move, all the way from the back, pulls alongside an entry, has the apex, has the run. Looks like it's just another brilliant move by Verdonk, who just seems like, I don't think Van der Vack expected that at all. It was from so far back. Catches the actual driver off guard, and Verdonk just sends it down the inside and makes it stick.
Yeah, I think if Verdonk did change a couple of tyres, but not all 4, and David Van der Vack didn't, he'll be kicking himself for that, because Verdonk just looks absolutely rapid at the moment and has so much more confidence, especially on the brakes.
GT3 could upset that a little bit, but Verdonk gets a decent enough exit, and Van der Vack seems too far enough to challenge into turn 7, so it looks like Verdonk regains the lead of this race and is going to get a little bit of a buffer as well.
Yeah, Michael Kallenberger, who they just passed as well.
And by the way, Whiten, now in I would say danger zone, just 2 seconds off the back of Van der Wacker. Suddenly we've got a fight for the lead of this race.
Yeah, crucially, that gap, not just that gap down to Van der Wacker that's come down, but that gap to Quinten Verdonk, more importantly. Romain Dubert is off track in the lead of GT3. And that is...
I think Bakoven and Villarejo got into each other as well. It's all kicking off.
So, quick look what happened to Romain Dubert. This was as the leaders came through in prototype, and there wasn't contact, I don't think, but there very nearly was.
Yeah, but you've got a GTP on your inside. You're trying to find your turning point, and you just don't have the visual of the apex there. It's very difficult. Unfortunately, for Dubert is see what happened. This is a bit later on past the contact, I believe, as Villarejo looks like he's just got the inside there on the exit turn 7 on Bakoven. Should just get clean through, and indeed does. Don't know if anything happened earlier in that.
Can't find anything on the tracker to look at.
It looked like there might have been contact. It might have just been they got close but didn't actually touch.
Unless it's this.
This is Jarvis.
No, that's just an off track, I think.
A little bit of lawn knowing. Obviously, that lawn no longer there thanks to the incident involving Ryan Preece.
Matisse has lost a little bit on the last lap to these guys, but I think that's probably just traffic more than anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of GT3s they had to get through in short order, and presumably you'll have to lose some time at some point trying to get through them. As Carlos Ponce around again in turn 1. Oh, turn.
Yeah, turn 1.
I have it as turn 4. I think it's turn 3. They're down here. I think he's going to try and make a move on this GT3. Gets a little bit too deep on the brakes.
Stopped, yeah.
Whee!
Matteo Ubertali in the GT3 saw that coming from a long way back. A lead in GT3 as well, now down to 1.9 seconds after Romain Dubert had that slightly slow moment.
Well, Bakoven's got past Villarejo again.
They've been battling it out for a little bit here, so let's see what happened. Adam Jarvis just behind. Down the inside.
That is a dive bomb and a half. Yeah, that's a comeback.
Comes back. Okay, yeah.
Excellent move there by Bakoven. Just realised, wait a second, that's to go very far in, and yeah, it works out quite well for Bakoven there. We've had an update from Race Control on the weather. The track is now, according to them, very lightly wet. I would like to beg to differ to Race Control and point towards the vast quantity of spray that's being kicked up by every single car on this track right now. This is still wet. You are not putting slicks on this track. You are very much wet conditions.
I believe I'm looking at the same data as Ven, which says it did drop in a level of water on the track about 10 minutes ago. But obviously,
Jarvis
still
hounding the
a
back
lot
of
of rain.
Villarejo here as well into turn 1. I think he's a bit too far back. He's got checked up at the wrong place. Doesn't want to dive. Yeah, looked like there was a chance for a move. There was literal bump drafting. If it looked like there was literal bump drafting, I don't know if they actually made contact or not, but they were definitely that close. And Jarvis decides against it and just decides to.
David Van der Wacker with a very good run out of the bus stop here. He's only 2 temps behind, and he's going to pick up that mega toe down to turn 1. As we've seen several times today, if he wants to make anything work, he's going to have to do it into turn 1 and do it on the inside. But actually, amazingly, Verdonk pulling away here on the straight. I wonder if he's charged up the battery a little bit to use into this part of the track.
I don't know if it's. I think it might honestly be the tyres. Like, again, this track is still wet. If you've got a little bit of extra grip in these tyres, it's going to pay out excellently. And, yeah, you can see just Verdonk just able to get that foot down a little bit cleaner, a little bit more power there, and just able to pull away. Van der Wacker not out of this fight, certainly, but advantage Verdonk for now.
Yeah, Mateusz Bison pulling these two in a little bit, especially when they've been fighting, he's been gaining more. Morphy and Ubertali close on track for championship contenders, as Morphy seems to be getting closer and closer to the back of his rival.
We have a message here from Race Control saying, pass right. I don't think I have the capacity to pass right in any way. I'm sorry, Race Control.
I think that might be it. Incorrect message. Someone's clicked the wrong button. There's Morphe down the inside of Ubertali into turn 1 to take P5 on the road, and that's going to be P4 in GT3 Pro. We're showing you those overall standings today because it's all mixed up with the weather and the way they're running. And Michael Kallenberger is your leader in GT3 Am and only 1.7 seconds off the lead. Jose Carlos Villarejo has had a bit of a problem going into turn 1, it looks like. So Adam Jarvis is going to get by. Because Villarejo tried to go around the outside of Bockhoven, that will beat, and got a little bit loose.
I'm going to become a broken record by the end of this race. No one's running the outside of these corners. No one's knocked the water off the outside of these corners. If you're on the outside, you're on a wet track, and the car will grip appropriately, which should say it won't. Meanwhile, Verdonk and Van der Wacker closed up again, but Verdonk just looks like he's just closing off any opportunity Van der Wacker would have for a move. A lot closer though Van der Wacker looks this time by.
Yeah, only real opportunities are turn 1 or the bus stop if the Donk has a poor exit, I think.
But I'm not sure actually. Verdonk's going very defensive. He might
deep
compromise his
here, though.
exit. And, there's a chance for a dive. I think it's too far back.
All of this is bringing Viton into the battle a little bit as well, which I think these two probably aren't too focused on right now, but need to perhaps consider the best thing for both of their individual races is to pull away from Viton, but Van der Wacker won't be too disappointed to have his teammate arrive on the scene, I'm sure.
Alright, how brave are you feeling, Van der Wacker? Do you want to send it here? You're looking a little too far back, so you're going to stay behind, that's fine. Go through the chicane, keep that gap maintained, try and build around an exit.
Nice
now
and
you know
close here.
Verdonk is going to hold that yellow line. You know he's going to do it. He's done it consist. Oh, hello, Dave Vanek. How are you doing today?
GT3 could make a big difference here as they both clear him before they get onto the final bit of the home stretch.
But Verdonk has just come back to the inside as well. He knows he's not going to get dived. He's left the inside open, but Van der Wacker a bit too far back to close up. So they'll both take racing line through here, and that just means Van der Wacker has no way through. Might get a switch back here through the mini chicane. No chance, and just going to stay behind again, and it's another lap gone past, and another chance where Van der Wacker looks close, but no cigar.
Jarvis closing up on Bockhoven pretty consistently as well, as he tries to move his way up the order a little bit. We're
going to see them if we keep our eye on this fight, because I think they're the next pack that we're gaining on here.
They are, in fact. That is correct. So they're just coming on to
Villarejo tailing the 91 of Jarvis, tailing the 18 of Bokoven.
Van der Wacker with a good exit here, actually. It looked like Verdonk was searching for grip a little bit, but then those, I believe, fresher tyres for Verdonk just working in his favour a little bit.
They're going to catch in the bus stop. This could be dangerous for one of these drivers, actually. I couldn't tell you which at this stage, because it all depends on how and when they catch, but here we go then, into the bus stop.
Off the track for Verdonk. That's going to be a slowdown. It is. Verdonk has a furled black flag. He will have to slow down and let Davy Van der Wacker through, and this could impact him even more because Matthias Viton is going to come on the back of him. He's still serving that slowdown, I can tell you now, so he's still got time to give up. Still giving up time, not cleared it just yet, so he's losing more and more time. He's 6 times behind the now leader Davy Van der Wacker and less than a second ahead of Matthias Viton. He has now cleared that flag, but he's going to get caught behind the GT3 in turn 1, and no, he slots it up the inside, which Matthias Viton can't do, so he's going to live to fight at least another lap. And Matthias Viton actually gets a little bit loose in turn 1.
That is just, I don't know if there's rules of how you want to serve the black flag in the ASR rulebook, but I think that was, I think the best way of serving slowdowns if you're in a fight is to do it in the middle of the corners. We take NASCAR 3 and 4 as just straight for all intents and purposes.
I think what he did would be fine under regulations, as far as I remember when I wrote them a couple of years ago. I know Andy's added quite a lot to them since then, but I think that he will be okay there because he didn't do anything dangerous and he gave most of it up on what is a corner but is essentially a straight.
Oh no, he did it. He definitely did the right thing, but obviously he lost a lot of time doing it. I'm a fan of parking it on the apex for a little longer than you need to.
Yeah, that's definitely not allowed of a rule set.
Oh no, not like actually park it on the apex. Just,
No,
take a slow corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously now Van der Vacker has the lead of the race for Donk, chasing by a second, and obviously Whiten a second back from the Donk. Still all to play for here, and we are coming to the range where if you come in now, you can make it to the end of the race. I don't know what the lap numbers are, so this is coming on to 11 laps completed in the stint for all of these drivers.
And Mattia
They've
Ubertali
done
just made his
13
pit
and
stop a couple of moments ago.
14 per stint. Ubertali.
Don't think he can make it to the end, though. Yeah, I don't think he can make it to the end.
Ubertali can make it to the end.
Yes, he can. Yeah, it's going to need a little bit of lift. But
Yeah, because
he
we're
can definitely make
24 and a
it.
half to the good.
That's going to be interesting,
given-
actually. What's the pit loss time being? About 50 seconds so far. Let's just take a look at the gaps and see how far ahead of the leaders he is. Oh, he's 1 minute 12 behind, so he's still going to be about 20 seconds behind those guys. Although, saying that, Daniel Morphy, who he needs to try and finish ahead of today, is 26 seconds behind the leaders.
And obviously, I think you can make it to the end. I think you might need a little bit of save. You don't need to do anything drastic here, but you definitely need to make it to the end, and a little bit of change depending on where Van der Vacker or Verdonk or Whiten ends up in relation to you on the track. So we'll see what it shakes out to. As Adam Jarvis still hunting down McCoven. And Vince Sherevsky still hunting down Falk for P3.
Yeah, he's getting quite a lot on this lap, actually, and trying to work out if there's anywhere in particular. Getting 6 temps in Sector 4, and what was a personal best Sector 4 to do so.
I will say, Kelberg has closed up a little bit to Dubert. I think that gap was a little bit further back, but those two have been pretty silent up front all race. It's just been those two having the run of the field, and obviously they're not really fighting for anything other than pride right now, and Dubert has to be feeling pretty proud right now. Winchester's closing up to the back of Falk, but can't find an opening just yet. He's trying to find a way through, but there's just not enough of a gap there. This is the hard part. It's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. It is the age-old saying, but yeah, I think Vinchereski's getting held up a bit here, and he's not going to be too happy about it.
Oh, and that's the leaders approaching. David Van der Vacker down the inside. He's nearly made exactly the same mistake. Trying to pass Ignas Vincerevski's Quinton Verdonk made a couple of laps ago, but managed to pull it off. And that was crucial for him, because if he'd been caught behind those two cars, that would have put Quinton Verdonk all over the back of him.
And I'll be honest, I suspect Vincerevski's got a very late call of car inside, or perhaps he was helping out his teammate. I'm not going to put that too far, but it looked like he was trying to make the apex of the corner, and suddenly there's a GTP to his inside, and you have to give the space there. But yeah, looks like Vincerevski's got caught a little bit off guard.
Yeah, Matisse now looking to put the move on Quinton Verdonk pretty soon. That's down to 3 temps, and he's going to gain loads here because Quinton Verdonk was held up massively on the exit there by Michael Kellenberger, and I think he's going to have this move potentially done before they even get to the braking zone at turn 1.
I don't know. You have to go around the outside of Daytona, and that's not an easy thing to do. That is a very deep inside. Oh, they're going to the pit lane.
But this is Matisse's job to make sure he comes in safely, and he does get away with it.
So if they went back on the track, I would have a lot to say about Whiten there. But no, going to the pit lane, completely fine. I'm completely fine with taking all the space on the inside if you're going for pit entry. And obviously that was a very strong pit entry for the Dutch League Racing driver, so presumably going to be a very short time pit lane, and a very good chance that he's going to take the lead of this race. Of Verdonk, Van der Vacker and Whiten have all came in on the same lap at the same time, and now it's just... never mind, there's a racing incident being marked there by race control.
Under investigation, that's that pit entry move. We're pointing out then, Quinton Verdonk was the only one that was jacked up, and he's actually going to lose a place to Mateusz Whiten, who's going to beat him out of the pit lane. So DLR now 1 and 2. Quinton Verdonk, in the space of about 5 laps, has gone from first down to third, and is struggling to get out of the pit lane, it looks like.
As you can always struggle in this to get out of the pit lane in these cars.
That's the 1x. That's the 0x that race control have marked. I think this is what we actually want to look at. They're going to say, did he overtake him on the way into the pit lane, and did he do it safely? And I think what he probably did is going to be okay.
No, my feeling is you can just if there's space on the inside there, you can absolutely take it as long as you don't do anything stupid like getting to the side of someone on
yeah,
this
we
track.
discussed it in the briefing pre-race and said essentially that as long as you don't hit anyone, and it's your job to make sure that you don't, you will be okay. So that looks like what he's done there, and he's done that quite smartly.
So presumably then Verdonk took tyres if he was jacked up. I don't know how much they're going to affect this race. They are still... Okay, hold on a second. Quinton Verdonk, tell me if I'm right, is on dries.
Yes, that's exactly right. He is on a dry, because that's what the graphic's showing. Let's see if we can get this on screen. He doesn't look too slow. He's not flying off the road.
He gave up a lot of time there, but that's because he was stuck behind a GT3. I want to stay with Verdonk, just because you're not going to lose too much time.
Matteo Lemre's just put the dries on in the pit lane as well, as has Michael Kellenberger. He's gone to the dries.
I'm going to go to...
Quinton Verdonk 3 seconds slower on the outlap than his rivals, though, although he does have to do a little bit of work to get these tyres up to temperature. He's in the wall and turn on for Quinton Verdonk. Gets it flicked around. He's going to tumble down the order here. Has anyone else gambled for dries in GTP? It doesn't look like it. Michael Kellenberger, who was running so well in the AM category, is surely going to have thrown this away. No further action for Matthias Weiton for not following the briefing note, so race control happy with what he did in turn one. That's a meatball for Quinton Verdonk, and he's towed to the pit lane there. Disaster for Quinton Verdonk.
Do I have to say it? This is iRacing. The spray is still there. The track is still wet. You cannot put on the slicks until it is a lot drier than it is currently. He takes the gamble, and I don't know why he's flipping there. The track was obviously still at least decent on these wets. You're going to do at least another 2 laps on them. I think at
Tell
that
you what,
point,
though, some of the GT3s aren't listening to that advice. Senna Botkoven has just put the dries on as well.
Oh, Botkoven, I am so sorry you're going into a barrier. There's no polite way of saying it. You can see the spray on the back of Kellenberger. He's on the slicks. He's going into turn 1 shortly, I believe. Trying to find him on my map. Where is he? He's coming through NASCAR 2 now. So we'll see how badly this ends. But I will be honest. You're flipping coins, and I think you didn't have anything to gain. You were doing quite well in this race. You're risking for nothing right now. And like, even if you're wrong, the wets aren't going to be that much slower, to the point where if it looks like the slicks are faster, you can come in, or even I don't know. I just feel like the wets were definitely the safer option, and you were in a position where all you need to do to secure a good finish was play safe. And Verdonk has been punished heavily for his decisions.
Yeah, Kellenberger is now 7 seconds behind Vincarevsky. They're both on the same pit strategy, and obviously he was very far ahead. He was a couple of seconds at least ahead of him before all of this kicked off, so big loss for Kellenberger, who's circulating 40 seconds slower than Dave Van Eck, although is this the outlap?
That sounds like an outlap difference.
I think Matthias Weiton and Davy van der Backer will be somewhat relieved that they've not got to give up this fight out front for Albert Preem, who is 14 seconds behind, but still has another pit stop to make to get to the end of this race. Because if this was how things were going to shake out, they'd be pulling over for Preem right now. And although Preem, 18-second buffer, can he be audacious enough to try and stretch another 10 minutes out of his pit stint? Probably not. That would be very impressive.
Where's Preem on my tower? No, he's at his fuel limit now. If he goes to the end, I'm calling his car in for post-race inspection for an illegal fuel tank.
Let's see what his teammates do if they try and give him a helping hand, but I think he's going to lose about 50 seconds here, so he's going to come out essentially behind Eloy Caballero once again. Kellenberger still running, actually gained on Vincarevsky's on the last lap, I believe. Tell a lie, no. 6 seconds back, but this is a fight here. Kellenberger, this is Vincerevsky just trying to lap Matteo Lemire and pass Adam Jarvis. Vincerevsky's saying he wants the blue flag, but Matteo wants to unlap himself on Adam Jarvis as he pulls out the way, and then Jeffrey Ross slots down the inside, so this is not going to end
Ross,
well.
What are you doing? To be fair to Ross, there's nowhere for him to really go here. He's just got to shove it up the inside and hope for the best.
Kellenberger with a purple lap time there on the dry tyres. Perhaps the track is ready.
Am I going to have to eat my words?
It sounds like you are. He was a couple of seconds quicker than Ignis last time round, so gained 2 seconds on that lap. With 15 minutes left in the race, it's definitely worth a gamble for dries. Kellenberger, though, contact with a GCP. That's going to spin him round. He'll not be too pleased about that. Has Albert Preem made his stop? Yes, he has. Preem will be kicking himself. He just pitted. He could have gambled on the dries. I'm very surprised he didn't.
He can still change. I wouldn't do it.
Quinton Verdonk back out on dries, though.
Right.
Quinton Verdonk back out on dries and setting purple sector times. I'm really surprised Albert Preem did not gamble on the dries, given how long he's been, how far behind he is.
I will say, in the past 5 minutes, the track has dried substantially. If I'm seeing this level of spray, if I had to come in, I'd maybe put on dries and say back it down for a few laps.
That's what I'm thinking. Albert Preem only pitted last lap. I'm very surprised, given the championship in the way as well. Yeah, race control saying Quinton's on pace with wet GTPs, and he had the purple sector 3 that we just mentioned. So, yeah, quicker than a lot of the cars around him, slightly slower than the 2 leaders who are right now in a league of their own. That was contact with Caballero there and Kellenberger. Purple sector 5 as well, race control say. So the dry is definitely now working. Quinton Verdonk was just, unfortunately for him, a couple of laps too early.
But again, it's the point of the gamble, right? Like, if it's obviously, you don't want to be the first person put on dries, let's put it like that. And especially if you're in the lead of this race, you don't really have anything to gain by flipping.
Volk does his pit stop, comes back out on the wets. Jarvis also in the pits, given their teammates. I imagine he's going to come back out on the wets as well. So Kellenberger, one of the only GT3s running the dry, and he's a little bit slower than some of his rivals last time round, and a little bit quicker than some of his rivals last time round. Yeah, but he had the contact last time round as well.
Yes, it is also the case that you're going to lose time in the pits on a tyre swap, which you might not want to take. So ups and downs for taking the tyres at this point in the race, but given this amount of spray, yeah.
Matthijs Vijten round the outside in turn 1 of David van der Wacker. They're side by side through the braking zone, deep for Matthijs Vijten. He can't make it work, and David van der Wacker retains the lead in turn 1.
That is the dangerous thing, though. If you're on around the outside, on the wet, it's treacherous because again, no one's running out there. It's super wet. If you're on the slicks, you have no hope of saving that. And if you're in a GTP, you have to be willing to take the outside to make moves around GT3s. GT3s, you might actually be able to get a little more reliability out of the drives, just in the fact that you're able to secure the line a little bit more reliably. But yeah, it's still super sketchy. I need to see what Kellenberger does, because right now he's, what is that, 15 seconds off the lead? There's just under 12 minutes left in this race. See if there's enough pace in these tyres to make a miracle happen.
Yeah, Quinton's still setting a couple of purple sectors, so it's clearly working, and this is Senna Bokhoven on the dries, getting past Adam Jarvis, and he was a lot quicker in the last couple of laps. So the dry clearly working for him.
Yeah, that's just clean away from Jarvis, good lord. Kellenberger looks like he's slowly closing to the back of Falk. I don't know how much he's got left in this race to make it happen.
Yeah, I think overall he'll probably kick himself for this because he's lost what would have been P2, considering everyone else would have also been on the wet. But he's still going to win in AM as it stands.
Ponce around again in turn 4. It's not been a good day for Ponce, has it?
No, not at all. And Verdonk, it was a really good day, and it would have been a really good day if he'd managed to keep it on the road for a couple more laps, because just gone 3 seconds quicker than anybody else on the previous lap. So he'll really, really be kicking himself for not running those wets, as I imagine Albert Preem will be as well.
Oh, Van der Wacker got his nose taken almost clean off by GT3 there. I think he was trying to make a move because right now he's being hounded by Viton.
Adam Jarvis has got back past Senna Botkoven, who's gone deep, and then, like we said, once you go deep on those dry tyres, you've got no grip. It's got to be on rails.
Tyre. Say the line, Bart. There's no grip on the outside.
Botkoven taking a second and a half through the first 2 sectors, and the same again, thereabouts in sector 3 and 4, compared to Oriole Falk. Although Falk fighting back through the latter stage of the lap.
Botkoven back past Jarvis. As Jarvis very slow.
I'm not sure what's going on here. I wonder if Adam Jarvis has realised he's not going to make it off fuel. Be very unfortunate.
It just looks like Botkoven might just had a better getaway.
Falk as well, all over the back of Vincereski's, but Falk would be silly to do anything too risky to try and get by, given where he sits in the championship right now. And Vincereski's will be very pleased to be picking up these points.
Van der Wacker flashing. GT3's trying to let... Oh, he's just intimidating Matteo Lemray off the track.
Going to the donk off track as well. Oh no. That's not going to stop when you're not on the dry line. Yeah.
So like this...
That's the danger.
I think if this was just a time trial session, yeah, put on slicks. Sure, they are faster. In race trim, no. I think wets were the move. I've made up my mind. I was right all along.
I think dries were definitely worth the gamble if you were someone like Albert Preem. Seemed very bizarre for Verdonk to make that gamble, but I guess the thing you're thinking if you're in the lead is, well, if everyone else does it and they're quicker than me, I'm screwed. Yeah.
There is a case for that, but also you have the lead, you have enough of a margin that maybe shouldn't be an issue either way. But Van der Wacker and Viton did take the wets. They maintain 1 and 2, and it looks like Viton would like that 1. As we go to the outside, but again, outside of turn 1 Daytona, not necessarily where you want to be, especially on this track condition. Can he get clear on entry? No, he can't, because Van der Wacker gets very deep on the brakes, forces the Dutch League Racing driver all the way to the outside, and yeah, they'll just slip back into line 1 and 2. I can't use Dutch League Racing driver because they're actually both in that team. Just one of them's running the colours as... Oh! Viton tries to pick the inside. A little bit late to make that move. Has to get the car really slowed up there. He's going to dive to the outside of the flick here. Not going to get a position.
No, but that will put his teammate offline, and that's going to give him the inside into the second horseshoe. Oh, and Michael Kelber on the dry tyres isn't going to want to give up his line. As neither of them can find a way past Davey Van der Wacker, going to go down the inside. Into the back of Kellenberger goes Matthias Viton, now straight under investigation as race control, clearly following the same battle that we are right now. Dave Van Eck goes purple in GT3 on the dries, was running in P10.
This track is probably more known... Well, to me, it's more known for the NASCAR races than the WEC ones, or IMSA, excuse me. Wrong series. But that was very much a NASCAR punt to pass for White, just getting the GT3 out of the way, because he's got blocked all the way down the straight, trying to get that pass. And once again, Whiten catches, can't make the move, gets alongside for way longer than I thought he would be able to, but now has to do all that work all over again, and he's running out of time. There's just over 6 minutes left in this race.
He's got a mega run here, though. If he's going to force to be outside, it's not going to work, as we've said several times. And he knows that, and he tucks back up to try and make a move further around the lap.
And now you're on the wet, you've got no grip, you can't get your foot down, you're all the way back here. Good luck making a move for the rest of the lap.
Just 6 minutes to go. Dave Van Eck's been off a little bit further around after setting that purple lap time. The dries, as soon as you tap a curb or hit a puddle, it's game over on those dry tyres. Mateus will know that he's got that 5-second penalty, so if he gets a 5 or 10-second time penalty for that incident with Kellenberger, that he needs to get a move on as quickly as possible.
He's got to run here, but he's going to have to look around the outside of turn 7, which is
Oh,
necessarily
and
practicing, but
wheels.
gets his shoulders out.
Under investigation by race control once again, straight away, with no hesitation from the two of them.
They've been waiting for this all evening to just actually do some race controlling. Sure. And they are on top of it right now. This is
He's going to have a run into the bus
He
stop,
wants-
is he? No, thinks better of it.
No. Way too far back, yeah. Like, this is where all the action is. P1 for GTP. Obviously not for the championship. Cabanero still has the lead of Prima, and I think that's all he needs to do. And that cancels everything that's going to happen. That is a 10-second time penalty from Mateus Wojton, which means, essentially, if you're going to check and flag first, it's purely going to be for show. Van der Wacker, though, I don't think he's going to be paying attention to this race control. I've called that.
Down the inside, Mateus Wojton. The nerves clearly getting to him after that 10-second time penalty. Shoves his teammate out the way. He's got 5 minutes, so there'll be about 3 laps to try and pull a 10-second advantage on his teammate. That would be extremely impressive. Let's take a look at how he did that, because he came from such a long way back.
He just sent it in so early. Okay, I think that was a little bit of self-preservation there for Van der Wacker. I feel like if he took his racing line, there was like nothing that Whiten could do within the rule book, but I think they would have made a little bit of unfortunate contact. So yeah, Whiten just choosing to, well, definitely made the move stick, and Van der Wacker saying, okay, whatever, you got the penalty, I'll give you the position, I'll just stay behind you.
Jarvis passes the slow-moving Matteo Ubatali, who's just trying to make it to the end on this tank, it looks like. Van der Wacker not giving this up. He's not going to drop back. He knows if he drops back and loses a toe, Wrighton has a chance to pull away, and anything can still happen. Who knows what traffic they're going to hit. They've got a big, big, big buffer to the rest of the field right now. Car number 4 in 26, the next car that we're going to catch. So that's Carlos Pons and Dave Van Eck, but not much else going on. So this is a straight fight now to the end for these two drivers.
But again, I think Van der Wacker knows what the fight is, and right now that fight is Whiten has a 10-second penalty over his head, and as long as Van der Wacker can stay within this region, Van der Wacker wins. So I as much as I hate to be a downer, I'm tempering my expectations for a dramatic finish.
Yeah, but can you believe 1 hour 27 minutes, nearly 90 minutes into this race, and we've got a lead fight for the overall win that's less than 2 tenths right now, and GT3 is only 1.5 seconds out front as well, and that gap came down by nearly a second last lap. We've not even been paying attention to that, and it does just
has a chance actually. Keep you on board, because obviously Whiten has control of the race distance, so that's going to really determine how many laps Vincerevski's has to catch up to Dubert, who's had the lead of this race from the green. Should be 1 to go.
I think we'll get white flag at the line, won't we?
Yes.
Be 1 more after this one. And these guys won't get passed by the leaders again.
Yeah, so there should essentially be 1.5 for these drivers from here. So we'll see what Vincerevski's has in the tank. That's a not insignificant gap to close up. And meanwhile, you've got Falk on your back bumper that you're going to have to defend from as well. So could just be that Vincerevski decides, no, what, I just need to defend my P2 here, and gives up on the fight for the lead. But if Dubert slips, this track is very slippy and will take you all the way off the track. So still outside potential for Vincerevski's to take the win, but that is very much outside chance as it stands.
Well, you're just trying to work out
leads.
if we have a white flag. Race control saying 2 laps to go, but I think that's a slightly old message.
Yes. I would assume this is a white flag based on where they are. Yeah, with 40 seconds left, that has to be white flag. So we'll go on that assumption and assume that Dubert is taking the white flag now. Assume that Vincerevsky's and Falk take it there, and it is a straight fight for P2 in the GT3 category. For P2 at least, as Dubert has re-established himself somewhat in the lead of this race.
Tell you what, Kellenberg has brought that gap down incredibly. That was 8 seconds just 3 or 4 laps ago. It's now 1.8 seconds as well. He was 4 seconds quicker than them on the last lap on the dry tyres. He's 4 seconds off the lead right now.
But is there enough grip in the track to actually make a pass? If you're going to do it, you need to do it this lap, because this is the only lap you have. Falk gets close.
Look how much that gap's come down in just 2 corners. I think he can get up to P2 here once again. I don't know if he can get onto the into the win. Well, I don't know if he can get onto the top step of the podium, and then it's got to get all messy with the GTPs, and that's Oriol Fault down the inside of Ignis Vincerevsky's, who's got Jeffrey Ross and Eloy Caballero going around the outside. That gap's only 2/10. What has happened in these last few laps is everyone closes up. Mateusz Buyten wins the final race of the season on track, but the win will go to David van der Vacker after Mateusz Buyten is handed his 10-second time penalty. Vincerevsky's is going to keep the lead. Well, not the lead, but P2 into the bus stop. Kellenberg is a little bit further back. He dropped back after all of that chaos on the entry to the tri-oval. Not the tri-oval, the oval. Vincerevsky is going to have a run here, surely. No, sorry, getting mixed up here. Oriol Fault is going to have a run. He's 1/10 back. And Michael Kellenberger is a little bit too far back. One more lap and Kellenberger probably could have won this race. To the line, side by side. Falk gets a position by 300ths of a second to Vincerevsky. He's now dropped down to P3. That can definitely affect where Vincerevsky's finish in the standings.
All Vincerevsky needed to do was pin it to the yellow line. He drifts up the track. I don't know if he just didn't have the grip in the tyres or not. And Falk gets P2 from out of nowhere.
Kellenberger, your winner in GT3 AM, takes the fastest lap of the race in GT3 by some margin to the other cars. At the end of the race as well, Quinton Verdonk was 4 seconds quicker than everyone else out on track. The drives were great. Race control confirming that Oriol Fault is your GT3 Pro champion. Dave Van Eck is your GT3 AM champion. And I believe Eloy Caballero will be your GTP champion. Only finishing P5 in today's race, but ahead of Preem. That's all he needed to do. Those were the only two in the fight. Fault celebrates with his teammate. Preem congratulates Eloy on the championship. Don't think Eloy's won a championship here before. Don't think Oriol Fault's won a championship here before. And I don't think Dave Van Eck has either. So congratulations to 3 new champions in the Still Racing IMSA series. That was a chaotic race. There was some concern with 90 minutes that the drivers would be a little bit too spaced out. But no, they've both all done an incredible job. See if we can get Oriol Fault into the booth.
No, that was... As much as I think Vincerevsky slipped on that final lap, it was a really well-driven final lap by Falk. Who, well, Falk, you join us here in the commentary booth. Congratulations, you are the GT3 champion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was... yeah, that was a long race and a mega run to the line. I think he finished P2 in the end by just 300ths of a second.
Yeah, he managed. I think he got a slowdown or something.
Oh, that
would make sense. Yeah,
he was going upwards on the turn, so maybe he was like getting that. That slowdown.
And I don't know if you saw, but Kellenberger on the dries gained 4 seconds on you on the second to last lap, and he nearly had you all on the last lap as well.
Yeah. We knew the drives were like close, but we had to make like a longer pit stop because changing the 4 tires like goes beyond 50 seconds, and I had to just pit for 30. So it was an offset of 20 seconds extra, and we decided to not go for it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You made the
right decision because the reason you are in P2 is because Kellenberger had to make an evasive maneuver and slipped.
Oh,
yeah, he had a couple of moments. I think if he hadn't had that, he would have challenged for the win.
Yeah.
But congratulations on the title. I believe we're going to see you back next season as well.
Yeah, 100%. We're gonna be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Congratulations on the championship and the podium in today's race, but I'm sure the championship is a bit more important right now.
Yeah, it's been tough, but it's been great fun, guys. Thanks for everything. And thank you so much. See
Cheers.
you on the next year.
See you next season. I believe that's it for drivers that are going to join us today. Matthias Weissman, I believe, is planning on protesting his penalty. So Quinton Verdonk, congratulating him on the win on track. But we'll see what happens with race control. None of that's going to affect your champions for today. So Oriol Falk is your GT3 Pro champion. Dave Van Eck was crowned last week at Indianapolis. He's your GT3 AM championship, despite a bit of a lackluster race today, but he'll be pleased with that. He had the fastest lap at the end as well, I believe, or one of, in fact, because Michael Kallenberger took fastest lap. Michael Kallenberger was your winner in GT3 AM today, ran on the podium most of the race, and I think without, like you said, Kirby, those couple of incidents, probably would have won the race overall with that dry tyre gamble. I think one lap more and it probably would have been his.
No, I think he would have had to make too many risks on the dry tyre for the length of the race. I think the wet tyre to me was the optimal tyre for that race. Even if the dry was faster, you need to be able to make the moves, and the wet tyre was the only one capable of doing that. But you know what? I will say, even on the dries, Kallenberg showed incredible pace, deserved the win in the AM category, and I look forward to seeing him next year.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to get some very exciting races next year. Like I said, last time I checked before the race, 54 of the 60 seats were sold out, and that's with one on hold for another driver as well. So only 5 seats left. LMP2 fully sold out in the return of the class. GTP and GT3 seats still available in very small numbers, so going to be a full grid. And we had a lot of chaos today and a lot of exciting battles with only 20 cars on track, as often happens in a iRacing season, dwindling numbers towards the end. So with 60 cars on track next season, it's going to be absolutely mega. Let's not forget to give a shout out to Romain Dubert, who I think essentially had zero viewing time on screen today. But Romain Dubert was your winner in GT3 Pro and GT3 overall. Led from pretty much start to finish. Mega job for him.
I think the best kind of race is one where you don't get shown on the broadcast because nothing interesting is happening to you. To have that happen and be fast enough to still win the race is an incredible feat. So yeah, Romain Dubert, well-deserved victory, didn't put a tyre wrong, and yeah, deserved victory. What more can you say?
Absolutely. And Matthias Weissman, then winner in GT3, in GTP, sorry, that's on track. It's going to go to the steward's room, I believe, and I can actually see that happening right now. So as soon as we can, we'll publish the official results. Will be available on the website. Doesn't affect the championship results, though. So that's qualifying results. That's no good for us,
this is qualifying.
Yeah.
That is the wrong table.
Race results. Matthias Weissman, your race winner on track, but the win will go to David van der Back as it stands with that 10-second time penalty for Matthias Weissman. Juanto Avale, 33 seconds off the lead in the end, finished P3. Jeffrey Ross, despite not having that much pace in the whole race, just the cleanest race of pretty much anyone we saw actually, to finish P4, 43 seconds off the lead. Eloy Caballero, so close to getting that position at the end, but came home to finish P5. Albert Preem, P6, after a perfect turn 1 turned into a chaotic turn 2 and lap 1. Quinton Verdonk finished P7, Carlos Ponce P8, and Alvaro Gutierrez was P9 after not having taken part in the actual race. GT3 Pro, like we said, Romain Dubert won in GT3 Pro and overall. Oriol Falk was in P2, Ignis Vincereskis was P3, Adam Jarvis P4, Daniel Moore P4, Adam Jarvis P5, Matteo Batali P6. And let's run through the GT3 Anfield with Kirby.
And Kallenberger, gamble on the wets, had plenty of space to gamble on the wets, even despite a few incidents, will win the category, with Senna Koven for Velocity Racing coming home in P2, and Jose Carlos Valderejo with Go Esports coming in P3, Dave Van Eck for Era Next Gen Racing, and Matteo Lemeray for Drakan Racing Team, 1 lap down each. And that is all 5 drivers in the category.
Yeah, so congratulations to our champions. We don't really need to run through them again, but let's just do it anyway. Eloy Caballero, champion in GTP. Oriol Falk, champion in GT3 Pro. And Dave Van Eck, champion in GT GT3. Oh, go on. We've got Oriel ready for interview. Senna, sorry, ready for interview, finish on the podium. So we'll just have a very, very quick chat with him. Hi, Senna. Congratulations on that podium. I think it was P2 in in the end, running on the dries as well. So how was the dry tyre on that track?
Well, it was quite the gamble. We had some guys looking at data of others, but eventually we just took the gamble and we were one of the first ones out on the dry tires, which turned out to be quite a good decision because in the first couple of laps the wet guys were keeping up, but then when the dry started hitting and they came up to temperature, you just really start to drive away and you see the pace difference. And I think it really mattered seeing how I was in a great battle, and it just really took me away from that position and secured P2 for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. It was pretty fun watching the guys out there on the dry. So congratulations. I believe we're seeing you back next season as well. So good luck.
Yeah,
there.
definitely. Thank you, mate.
All right, Kirby, any closing words before we finish the stream for our first ever 90-minute race?
If you're in a race and you have to decide between the wet tyre and the dry tyre and you're not sure, the answer is probably the wet tyre. Senna might have had a point that you might have had some pace on the dry tyre. I don't believe it. I'd take the wet tyre. I'm going against... I don't know why I'm going against the guy who's actually driving the car.
I think the dry tyre is quicker. I think the wet tyre is safer because it was still pretty quick, and you didn't fly off the road as soon as you hit a puddle.
And in the immortal words of Mahatma Gandhi, to finish first you must finish.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Kirby, thanks for joining me for a lot of this season. Hopefully, we can do a couple more next season as well. And thanks to everybody that joined us for most of these races. I know a lot of people watch them on the replays as well. And Amy's going to send out the highlights as usual on Monday. Unless obviously something comes up, but it should be Monday. And thanks in particular to all the drivers that came along and raced this season. It does mean a lot to everybody at Still Racing. And as I'm sure they're listening, big thanks to Amy and Andy and Adrian in the stewarding booth who've done every race this season, I believe. So absolutely great work from them. I believe that's it, to be totally honest. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next season.